Chapter 2050. However, Jiang Yuan didn't care because he was already at the 5th level of life and death realm. In the black-yellow continent there were very few martial artists above the 5th level. Moreover, although Jiang Yuan was only at the 5th level of life and death realm, he could easily deal with opponents at the 6th or 7th level. However, Jiang Yuan didn't know that the Tang Ao he met this time was actually a peak 8th level life and death realm martial artist. At this moment, Jiang Yuan felt as though his soul was about to leave his body. If Jiang Yuan knew that these young men and women who were training here had a powerhouse like Tang Ao following behind them, he would definitely not dare to have any thoughts of doing anything to these disciples of 7 Kills sect even if he wanted to die. Jiang Yuan knew that he had kicked an iron plate this time. However, he still didn't think that Tang Ao would kill him. As long as he revealed his identity, Jiang Yuan believed that even if Tang Ao was at the peak of the 8th level, Tang Ao wouldn't dare to touch him. However, Jiang Yuan was worried that Tang Ao would kill him without giving him a chance to speak. If that happened, Jiang Yuan would die unjustly. At this moment, Jiang Yuan was constantly struggling in Tang Ao's hands, and even had a pleading look in his eyes. Looking at Jiang Yuan's appearance, Tang Ao knew that Jiang Yuan had something to say. Although Tang Ao wouldn't let Jiang Yuan go, now that Jiang Yuan had something to say, Tang Ao would naturally let him know the reason for his death. Tang Ao raised his hand and threw Jiang Yuan away as if he was throwing trash. After being thrown away by Tang Ao, Jiang Yuan didn't slow down at all. Instead, he immediately knelt down and kowtowed to Tang Ao a few times before saying, "Senior, please spare my life. This junior didn't mean to offend you. I didn't know that these people were your disciples. Otherwise, even if this junior wanted to take things too hard, I wouldn't have dared to attack your disciples." "Is this all you want to say?" Tang Ao's voice was emotionless. When Jiang Yuan sucked out the essence blood of Han Xiaoxiao and the other two, he was destined to die. Although the sect master was too protective, it would cause the disciples of the sect to be too lawless when they walked outside, doing whatever they wanted. However, Tang Ao believed that his current behavior could not be considered as protecting his own. If Jiang Yuan was only at the origin realm, then even if Jiang Yuan used some methods to drain the blood of Han Xiaoxiao and the other two, Tang Ao could only say that Han Xiaoxiao and the other two were inferior, and he could not blame anyone else. In Tang Ao's eyes, there was no such thing as allowing the disciples of the 7 Kills sect to kill others, and not allowing the disciples of other sects to kill the 7 Kills sect's disciples. But at that instant, Jiang Yuan, who was at the 5th level of the life and death realm, was bullying a few origin realm children. That was extremely excessive. Therefore, Tang Ao did not hesitate to sentence Jiang Yuan to death. "Senior, you can't kill me. You should be a senior from the 7 Kills sect, right? I am a cultivator of the Blood Demon sect. Our Blood Demon sect has never had any conflicts with your 7 Kills sect. I am the grandson of the Blood Demon ancestor. Senior, if you kill me, you will be forming an irreconcilable hatred with the Blood Demon sect." Chapter 2051. In fact, this wasn't the first time that Jiang Yuan had been defeated by an expert from the 7 Kills sect. Many years ago, Jiang Yuan had sucked the blood of a passing caravan in the Black Clouds mountain range and encountered the sect master of the 7 Kills sect, Luo Guxiao. After a great battle, Jiang Yuan was defeated by Luo Guxiao. Just when Luo Guxiao was about to kill Jiang Yuan revealed the Blood Demon ancestor behind him. Later on, the Blood Demon ancestor also appeared. However, he didn't dare to do anything to Luo Guxiao because he was afraid of the Supreme Elder of the 7 Kills sect, Fengya. The second time was a few years ago. The Supreme Elder of the 7 Kills sect, Fengya, passed by this place and saw Jiang Yuan absorbing the blood of others to cultivate. Fengya was furious. If the Blood Demon ancestor hadn't arrived in time, Jiang Yuan would have been killed by Fengya. This was the third time that Jiang Yuan had fallen into the hands of an expert from the Seven Kills sect. Are you done? Jiang Yuan didn't expect that the blood demon ancestor, who had worked many times before, would be useless against Tang Ao. Jiang Yuan could tell that the person in front of him was from the Seven Kills sect. However, from the other party's eyes, Jiang Yuan could tell that Tang Ao wasn't afraid of the blood demon ancestor at all. Seeing that Tang Ao wasn't afraid of the blood demon ancestor at all, Jiang Yuan was extremely anxious. Previously, when the blood demon ancestor was in the sect, he could easily summon the blood demon ancestor when he encountered danger. However, he couldn't do so this time because the blood demon ancestor was in seclusion to break through to the next realm. At this moment, he couldn't contact the blood demon ancestor at all. Thinking of this, Jiang Yuan didn't dare to stay any longer. He directly shot a blood arrow at Tang Ao. Immediately, his body turned into a blood mist and instantly flew into the distance. Tang Ao's spiritual energy swept out and swept Han Xiaoxiao and the other two into his chaotic hexagram mirror. Then, Tang Ao took a step and appeared above the wind thunder dark cloud. If Tang Ao was willing, Jiang Yuan would not be able to escape. However, Tang Ao was very interested in the blood demon sect that Jiang Yuan had mentioned. Since there was such a vicious sect nearby and Tang Ao had brought the disciples of the Seven Kills sect here for training, Tang Ao immediately decided that he would do justice on behalf of the heavens and completely eradicate this evil sect. However, Tang Ao didn't know where the blood demon sect was. Tang Ao had used his soul remembrance to search the surrounding 10,000 kilometers, but hadn't found any trace of the blood demon sect. Thus, Tang Ao could only follow Jiang Yuan to see where the blood demon sect was. Originally, Jiang Yuan was very afraid of Tang Ao. However, when he saw that Tang Ao couldn't stop him when he escaped, Jiang Yuan immediately knew that he must have overestimated Tang Ao. Although Tang Ao was a peak 8th level life and death realm warrior, Tang Ao wasn't as strong as he imagined. If it were any other peak 8th level life and death realm expert, even if he could escape, it wouldn't be so easy. Seeing that Tang Ao was only following him from afar, Jiang Yuan's heart suddenly moved. The blood demon ancestor was in seclusion in the sect, and even he couldn't call him out. However, if someone attacked the blood demon sect, the blood demon ancestor would definitely come out early to kill this person. Thinking about how he had kowtowed to Tang Ao a few times, Jiang Yuan felt a wave of anger in his heart. Jiang Yuan immediately decided that he would lure Tang Ao into the blood demon sect and then have the blood demon ancestor kill Tang Ao. Not long ago, he had received news that the supreme elder of the Seven Kills sect, Feng Ye, had already ascended. In other words, in the entire Seven Kills sect, there was no martial artist who could match the blood demon ancestor. Thinking of this, Jiang Yuan also slowly slowed down, as if he was afraid that Tang Ao wouldn't be able to catch up. Tang Ao naturally saw that Jiang Yuan's speed had slowed down. After seeing Jiang Yuan slow down, Tang Ao's heart immediately moved. Could the blood demon sect have already arrived? However, Tang Ao quickly realized that he had judged wrongly. This was because Jiang Yuan had slowed down at this time. It was obvious that Jiang Yuan had seen that he hadn't caught up to him for a long time and was afraid that he wouldn't be able to catch up. Thinking of this, Tang Ao sneered in his heart. With the speed of the wind thundercloud, even if he gave Jiang Yuan a day's advance, the wind thundercloud would only need a few breaths to catch up to Jiang Yuan. At the same time, Tang Ao also understood that Jiang Yuan had suddenly slowed down because he wanted to lure him into the blood demon sect and then use the blood demon ancestor to get rid of him. Chapter 2052. This time, Tang Ao had already made up his mind to eradicate the blood demon sect. Since Jiang Yuan was willing to lead the way, it couldn't be any better. Seeing that Tang Ao was indeed chasing after him with all his might, Jiang Yuan sneered inwardly. In his opinion, the faster Tang Ao flew, the faster Tang Ao would die. After coldly glancing at Tang Ao, Jiang Yuan continued to flee in the direction of the Blood Demon sect. As for whether or not Tang Ao was purposely not catching up, Jiang Yuan didn't think it was possible, because Jiang Yuan was currently using the Blood Demon sect's top escape art, Blood Mist technique. His entire body was shrouded in blood qi, and his spiritual power was surging. The Blood Demon ancestor had once said that even some ordinary astral-reaching martial artists wouldn't be able to catch up to his Blood Mist technique. Although the Blood Demon ancestor wasn't an astral-reaching martial artist, as his grandson, Jiang Yuan knew that the Blood Demon ancestor was a yin-yang realm expert of the true martial realm. Compared to the peak 9th-level astral-reaching martial artists of the Black-Yellow continent, he was a level stronger. However, because he had been heavily injured, he had only recovered to the peak of 9th-level life and death realm. The Blood Demon ancestor had once told his direct descendants that although his cultivation base was only at the peak of 9th-level life and death realm, he had 70% chance of winning against an ordinary astral-reaching martial artist. This 7-kill sex Tang Ao was merely at the peak of 8th-level life and death realm. As long as he reached the Blood Demon sect, the Blood Demon ancestor would be able to crush Tang Ao with one hand. Tang Ao didn't know what Jiang Yuan was thinking at this moment, but Tang Ao felt that Jiang Yuan's Blood Mist technique might be the worst he had seen since he started cultivating. Even Blood Vulture's Blood Mist technique was far superior to Jiang Yuan's. As for Blood Scar's Blood Mist technique, it was dozens of streets ahead of Jiang Yuan. It was just that Tang Ao's comparison was really unfair to Jiang Yuan. This was because Blood Vulture had been a top-notch powerhouse in the Turbid Heaven stage when he was at his peak. Even the Blood Demon ancestor could only be considered a disciple in front of Blood Vulture. As for Xuehen, he was a genius cultivator who cultivated blood attribute cultivation method. Jiang Yuan could only be said to be slightly talented in cultivating blood attribute cultivation method. How could he be compared to a top genius like Xuehen? Phew, Tang Ao felt very tired. It wasn't because chasing Jiang Yuan made Tang Ao feel very tired, but because he had to pretend that he couldn't catch up to Jiang Yuan, which made Tang Ao feel very tired. Otherwise, if Tang Ao wanted to catch up to Jiang Yuan, in a breath's time, the wind thunder dark cloud appeared in front of Jiang Yuan. Moreover, it would be very easy for Tang Ao to kill Jiang Yuan now. After reaching life and death realm level 8, Tang Ao's power had reached an extremely horrifying level. Finally, after flying for some distance, an extremely powerful defensive array appeared in Tang Ao's soul remembrance. This defensive array protected a sect that didn't seem very large. Inside this sect, Tang Ao didn't see many disciples, but he could feel a dense bloody aura. Sweeping his soul remembrance across the various halls, Tang Ao's gaze instantly turned ice-cold. These halls imprisoned many ordinary people and low-rank martial artists. These people were all tied to pillars, and when the Blood Demon sect's martial artists cultivated, their blood would be extracted. Jiang Yuan naturally saw the Blood Demon sect's entrance very quickly. Immediately, Jiang Yuan wildly laughed. "Tang Ao, you dare to come to my Blood Demon sect? You're dead." Chapter 2053. Even in death, Jiang Yuan didn't understand why there was such a powerful immortal artifact in this world. Similarly, he didn't understand why Tang Ao would let him run back to Blood Demon sect if he could kill him so easily. Carrying too many doubts, Jiang Yuan completely disappeared from this world. Killed by the mysterious sky arrow, Jiang Yuan's soul was shattered, not even having the chance to reincarnate. Bang! At this moment, an incomparably powerful spiritual power soared into the sky from the depths of Blood Demon sect. As this spiritual power spread out, the surrounding mountains and forests howled endlessly. The demonic beasts nearby were so frightened that they prostrated themselves on the ground, not daring to move. Who dares act so impudently in my blood demon sect? Soon after, a blood-red figure soared into the sky and appeared in front of Tang Ao in the blink of an eye. This seat is 7 Kill Sect's leader, Tang Ao. I'm in a good mood today, so I've come from far away to send you blood demon sect demonic beasts on your way. Tang Ao knew that this skinny old man shrouded in blood mist was the blood demon ancestor that Jiang Yuan spoke of. Jiang Yuan was right. The blood demon ancestor was indeed at the peak of 9th level life and death realm. Such a cultivation base could already be considered a peak expert in the current black-yellow continent. Moreover, Tang Ao could feel that the spiritual power within the blood demon ancestor's body was incomparably pure, and his blood qi surged endlessly. Perhaps even an ordinary first-level astral-reaching martial artist might not be his opponent. Sure enough, after hearing Tang Ao's words, the blood demon ancestor immediately burst into an unbridled laughter. This old man has lived for several tens of thousands of years, and this is the first time I've encountered such an insolent junior like you. Fine, fine, this old man will let you know what it means by there is always someone better out there. As the blood demon ancestor spoke, he waved his hand, and a sea of blood appeared around Tang Ao. It seemed as if it wanted to completely envelop Tang Ao. This kind of method would absolutely frighten ordinary life and death martial artists, but Tang Ao wasn't the least bit afraid. This was because this move of the blood demon ancestor was completely imitating an astral-reaching martial artist's attack. It seemed to possess boundless might, but in reality, it was only a bluff. Tang Ao didn't waste any time. He pulled the primordial sacred sky bow. Tang Ao's hand gesture changed, and the original profound sky arrow turned into 9 arrows. After pulling the bowstring to its limit, Tang Ao suddenly turned his hand over. In an instant, a destructive aura swept out from the primordial sacred heaven bow, and the surrounding blood sea churned under this powerful aura. The 9 mysterious sky arrows shot by Tang Ao were like 9 comets that swept through the sky. They streaked across the horizon and headed straight for the blood demon ancestor. The blood demon ancestor pushed out his hands, and thick spiritual energy instantly swept out. Then, high walls made of blood energy appeared in front of the blood demon ancestor. However, when the mysterious sky arrows bombarded the blood chi walls, they directly shattered them inch by inch. Then, their momentum didn't decrease in the slightest as they continued to crush the blood demon ancestor. The blood demon ancestor was caught unprepared by Tang Ao. Although he tried his best to dodge, he was still hit by an arrow from Tang Ao. With just one arrow, one of the blood demon ancestor's arms was shattered by the mysterious sky arrow. As for the mysterious sky arrows that were snatched by the blood demon ancestor, they directly bombarded the blood demon sect's great protective array. This defensive array was already a top-grade spiritual array. However, in front of the mysterious sky arrows, it was like a piece of paper. In an instant, the blood demon sect's great hall turned into ruins. Chapter 2054. When the blood demon ancestor saw that all his disciples and grand disciples had been killed by Tang Ao, he immediately roared in anger. The flames of anger seemed to want to ignite the entire world. "Little bastard, if I don't crush your bones and scatter your ashes, I am not a human." As he spoke, the aura on the blood demon ancestor's body suddenly changed. Waves of blood-colored aura converged from all directions, forming a domain surrounded by blood-colored aura and special fluctuations behind the blood demon ancestor. Yin-Yang domain. So, it's a junior at the Yin-Yang realm. Tang Ao was completely spouting nonsense this time. Even at his peak in his previous life, Tang Ao had only been at the peak of astral-reaching realm 9th level. There was still a long way to go before he reached the Yin-Yang realm. Therefore, since the blood demon ancestor could display the Yin-Yang domain's shadow, it meant that the blood demon ancestor must have been a Yin-Yang realm expert at his peak. Originally, The blood demon ancestor had displayed the yin-yang domain's shadow with the intention of killing Tang Ao. However, when the blood demon ancestor heard Tang Ao's words, he was instantly stunned. Yin-yang realm junior? The fact that Tang Ao could recognize the blood demon ancestor's yin-yang domain meant that Tang Ao was not an ordinary person. Otherwise, with Tang Ao's cultivation at the peak of life and death realm 8th level, he would not have been able to force the blood demon ancestor to this extent. Could this young man in front of him be a yin-yang realm expert like him? Or could it be that the other party's cultivation at his peak was even stronger than the yin-yang realm? "Who are you?" the blood demon ancestor immediately exclaimed. At this moment, the blood demon ancestor really did not have any confidence in his heart. If it was just an ordinary life and death realm expert, even if the other party was a bit more powerful, the blood demon ancestor was confident that he could use the yin-yang domain to kill him. However, if Tang Ao was an expert even stronger than him, then the blood demon ancestor could only use the blood shadow escape to escape. Even if the other party was a chaotic sky realm expert, under the restriction of the chaotic sky realm's domain, even if he wanted to use the blood shadow escape, he would not be able to escape at all unless he had the space-breaking talisman. But did he have the space-breaking talisman? No. If the blood demon ancestor had the space-breaking talisman, he would not have stayed in this godforsaken place for 10,000 years. "Since you want to know, I'll show you who I am." As Tang Ao spoke, he instantly released his underworld life soul. Suddenly, the entire world darkened. Chilly winds howled in the surroundings, and netherworld chi filled the air. Then, behind Tang Ao, a pitch-black gate of the netherworld that was shrouded in black fog slowly opened. After the gate of the underworld appeared, a huge claw that seemed like it could tear the entire world apart reached out. The huge claw was covered in scales that glittered with a cold light, and the protruding joints seemed to contain explosive power. "Nether Ghost Hand. You are Lord Mingdi's reincarnation. Lord Mingdi, please spare my life." The blood demon ancestor was scared out of his wits when he saw this huge, pitch-black claw. Who was Emperor Hades? He was one of the top experts in ancient times and was known as the strongest person below the Tao Master. If Mingdi had not been ambushed by Primordial Magnetic Lord, he would definitely be a Tao Master now. However, even after being ambushed by Primordial Magnetic Lord, Emperor Hades had still reincarnated. Moreover, he was only at the 8th level of the life and death realm, yet he was able to display a divine ability that could change the color of the world. The blood demon ancestor did not even have the thought of escaping at this moment. He did not doubt that he would be torn to shreds by Emperor Hades' nether ghost hand before he could escape with the blood shadow escape. Chapter 2055. The move that Tang Ao was using now was similar to the blood demon ancestor's yin-yang domain. It was an empty form, but it was not real. However, the blood demon ancestor was already scared out of his wits by Tang Ao. How could he consider so much? In addition, Tang Ao had already awakened the netherworld life soul, so his imitation was even more vivid. With this level of imitation, only those who were very familiar with netherworld Dharch or those who personally tested it out would be able to know the truth of Tang Ao's move. Unfortunately, the blood demon ancestor was not familiar with netherworld Dharch at all. As for asking the blood demon ancestor to test netherworld Dharch, he would not dare to do so even if he had the gut. Seeing that Tang Ao did not speak and that the nether ghost hand was still reaching out towards the netherworld gate, the blood demon ancestor could not care less. He immediately knelt in the void. "Senior Netherworld Dharch, please spare my life. I am willing to offer my soul imprint for you to use." Originally, Tang Ao had thought of using the primordial sacred heavenly bow to ambush the blood demon ancestor and then using the 8 desolate sword chi to kill the blood demon ancestor. This was because the blood demon ancestor's current strength was slightly stronger than Tang Ao's. The reason why the blood demon ancestor had been beaten so badly by Tang Ao was because Tang Ao had taken the initiative. That was because Tang Ao had made the first move. He had immediately used the grade 9 primordial sacred heavenly bow to attack. Although the blood demon ancestor was strong, Tang Ao had not seen the blood demon ancestor take out any decent treasures since the start of the battle. The blood demon ancestor was obviously very poor. You also know that I have some enmity with the Origin magnetic field. Since you know my identity, how would I dare to keep you here? Tang Ao did not directly agree to the blood demon ancestor's request. Instead, he spoke matter-of-factly. In fact, Tang Ao was more than willing to accept a free fighter like the blood demon ancestor. Back then, the 7 major forces dared to besiege the 7 Kills sect because they had too few top powerhouses. If Tang Ao had a helper like the blood demon ancestor back then, Murongji and the others would have been forced to stay in the 7 Kills sect by Tang Ao. Although Tang Ao wanted to subdue the blood demon ancestor now, Tang Ao knew very well that although the blood demon ancestor was willing to let go of his soul and let him plant a soul imprint, the blood demon ancestor was still hesitant. This was because the moment someone was branded with a soul brand, they would forever become his servant. Although he could survive this way, the price he had to pay was too great. Junior understands. Junior will definitely keep his mouth shut and dare not reveal Senior's identity. Tang Ao's thoughts were absolutely correct. At this moment, the blood demon ancestor was struggling internally. If he fought hard now, he might be able to escape using the blood shadow evasion while Tang Ao was not paying attention. But if he didn't risk his life, he would forever be Tang Ao's slave. As he thought of this, the blood demon ancestor started to hesitate. This emperor does not trust you. However, this emperor will give you a chance to reincarnate. Just as the blood demon ancestor was hesitating, Tang Ao suddenly raised his hand and pressed it down. Chapter 2056. Even if the blood demon ancestor was more monstrous than Shweskar, he still wouldn't be able to break the soul seal of this level. After being branded with such a powerful soul seal by Tang Ao, the blood demon ancestor let out a sigh of relief. The fact that Tang Ao had branded such a powerful soul seal in the depths of his soul meant that Tang Ao had truly let him go. A bad life is better than a good death. Even ants are greedy for life. When the blood demon ancestor first arrived at the black-yellow continent, he was gravely injured and on the verge of death. Even then, he struggled to survive and cultivated to the peak of the 9th level of life and death realm. Therefore, as long as he could survive this time, the blood demon ancestor was absolutely not willing to die. Moreover, when he cultivated to the 6th level of Yin-Yang realm, he had already reached his limit. Now, he could follow an ancient expert like Emperor Hades. Apart from not having freedom, it could also be said to be his fortune. In his previous life, Emperor Hades was the #1 expert below Tao sovereigns. Now that he had reincarnated in this life, his strength was bound to be even greater than before. If nothing unexpected happened, it wouldn't be long before Emperor Hades regained his throne and became a Tao sovereign. When Emperor Hades became a Tao sovereign, it would be time for the blood demon ancestor to make a meteoric rise. Lord Emperor Hades, where are we going next? In front of Tang Ao, the blood demon ancestor asked with a terrified expression. Hearing the blood demon ancestor's words, Tang Ao's expression turned cold. Then, he said indifferently, "In the future, don't call me Emperor Hades. I am now the sect leader of the 7 Kills sect. You can call me sect leader." Although he had subdued the blood demon ancestor by relying on Emperor Hades' might, Tang Ao still didn't dare to keep pretending to be Emperor Hades. Tang Ao had inherited Emperor Hades' 9 dragons' jade body, so Emperor Hades could be considered as Tang Ao's ancestor. Therefore, Tang Ao immediately corrected the blood demon ancestor. Yes, sect leader. How could the blood demon ancestor dare to disobey Tang Ao's words? With a single thought from Tang Ao, he would immediately turn into ashes. This is a star-breaking pill. You can attack the astral-reaching realm now. I'll protect you. As Tang Ao spoke, he threw a pill shrouded in spiritual aura to Blood Demon Ancestor. At present, Blood Demon Ancestor's cultivation base was already at the peak of the 9th layer of life and death realm, and he was only a step away from the astral-reaching realm. Tang Ao guessed that the reason why Blood Demon Ancestor hadn't stepped into astral-reaching realm yet was most likely because he didn't have a star-breaking pellet. The star-breaking pellet was a necessary pellet for peak level 9 life and death realm warriors to reach the astral-reaching realm, and the star-breaking pellet was also a rank 1 immortal pellet. In the current black-yellow continent, there was not a single alchemist who could refine the star-breaking pill. In fact, even the star-breaking pill could only be found in some undiscovered ancient era's remnant. It was also because of this that Blood Demon Ancestor had been stuck at the 9th layer of life and death realm for 1,000 years without the opportunity to attack the astral-reaching realm. Otherwise, if the Blood Demon Ancestor were to attack the astral-reaching realm, it would be hard to say who would win the battle between Tang Ao and the Blood Demon Ancestor. After seeing the star-breaking pellet, the Blood Demon Ancestor's mood immediately became extremely excited. Star-breaking pellet! He had bitterly searched for 1,000 years in the black-yellow continent, exploring countless ruins, yet he still couldn't find the star-breaking pellet. If he were in the true martial realm, even without the star-breaking pellet, the Blood Demon Ancestor could still attack the astral-reaching realm with the help of the true martial realm's immortal spirit chi. Chapter 2057. Blood Demon Ancestor had been stuck at the peak of 9th layer life and death realm for 1,000 years. This time, he didn't need to make any preparations to break through to the astral-reaching realm. After landing on the ground, Blood Demon Ancestor was about to use the star-breaking pill to attack the astral-reaching realm. However, Tang Ao's voice also rang out at this time. Wait. Take this Tao-gathering pill first, Tang Ao said as he tossed a jade box at the Blood Demon Ancestor. Upon hearing the words, Tao condensation pill, the Blood Demon Ancestor felt his head buzz. He could not react in time. This was not because the Blood Demon Ancestor did not know what kind of pill the Tao Assembly pill was. It was because the Blood Demon Ancestor was too familiar with the Tao Assembly pill that he was so shocked. Previously, when the Blood Demon Ancestor was in the desolate martial realm, he had cultivated to the 6th level of the Yin-Yang realm. After cultivating for 10,000 years, his cultivation had not improved at all. At that time, the Blood Demon Ancestor knew that his cultivation had reached its limit. With his martial Tao talent, Yin-Yang realm level 6 would be the end of his martial Tao. However, the Blood Demon Ancestor was unwilling to give up. In a place like the desolate martial realm, the 6th level of the Yin-Yang realm was, to put it nicely, a middle-level warrior. To put it bluntly, he was still an ant. What was the purpose of cultivation? Naturally, he did not want to submit to fate and wanted to defy the heavens and change his fate. Therefore, the Blood Demon Ancestor began to search for the Tao-gathering pill frantically. After spending 10,000 years, not only did the Blood Demon Ancestor fail to obtain the Tao-gathering pill, but he was also hunted down by a chaotic heaven stage powerhouse because of the news of the Tao-gathering pill. In the end, he escaped to the black-yellow continent after being heavily injured. However, the Blood Demon Ancestor had effortlessly obtained the Tao condensation pill from Tang Ao. At that moment, the Blood Demon Ancestor secretly rejoiced. He had made the right choice between fleeing or allowing Tang Ao to brand him with a soul imprint. With this Tao condensation pill, his martial arts foundation could be consolidated once again. After that, his martial arts talent would be enhanced, and the height of his growth would be raised once again. At this moment, the blood demon ancestor secretly made up his mind to follow Tang Ao well in the future. Rumor had it that Emperor Hades was cold and aloof. But at this moment, how was Tang Ao aloof and cold? How was he unreasonable? Ignoring the blood demon ancestor's ever-changing and complicated expression, Tang Ao urged, "I still have something to do. Hurry up." "Yes." Upon hearing Tang Ao's words, the blood demon ancestor immediately returned to his senses. The blood demon ancestor left the pill pavilion and immediately consumed the Tao gathering pill. After the blood demon ancestor consumed the Tao condensation pill, the blood demon ancestor immediately felt that his bones and meridians were instantly crushed, and his entire body felt as if it was being burned by a raging fire. However, the blood demon ancestor was elated. As this pain persisted, he could clearly sense that his bloodline, bones, and soul remembrance were continuously strengthening. This was the heaven-defying effect of the Tao pill. It was also because of this that the blood demon ancestor had been so determined to obtain a Tao pill in his previous life. Very quickly, this feeling gradually calmed down. However, the blood demon ancestor knew that the Tao condensation pill would still be effective in his body for a long time to come. However, what he needed to do at the moment was not to observe the effects of the Tao condensation pill, but to attack the astral reaching realm. After adjusting his state, the blood demon ancestor consumed the star-breaking pill. Chapter 2058. Looking at the pile of extreme-grade spirit stones around him, the blood demon ancestor was already numb. This was because Tang Ao was truly too rich. At the same time, Tang Ao was not stingy at all towards a servant like him. With so many extreme-grade spirit stones, the aura on the blood demon ancestor's body soared. Not long after, countless thunder cloud condensed in the air. Finally, a frightening thunderbolt poured down from above the blood demon ancestor. Looking at this thunderbolt, the blood demon ancestor directly sent out a blood palm, directly blocking the thunderbolt. Then, the blood demon ancestor's body suddenly expanded, directly lifting off the ground and flying in the air. All of a sudden, the sky was filled with blood chi, and endless thunderbolts rumbled down. These thunderbolts frightened the demonic beasts in the surrounding mountains, causing them to scatter in all directions as if they had gone mad. However, the blood demon ancestor stood firm, blocking all of these thunderbolts. After half an hour, when the last thunderbolt descended, Tang Ao knew that the blood demon ancestor was now a true astral-reaching expert. Moreover, because of the millions of extreme-grade spirit stones, the blood demon ancestor's cultivation base had also directly crossed the first level of astral reaching realm, reaching the early second level. Feeling the surging spiritual power and explosive power in his body, the blood demon ancestor was filled with gratitude towards Tang Ao, because everything he had was given to him by Tang Ao. Not bad. Seeing the blood demon ancestor directly cross the first level of astral reaching realm to the second level, Tang Ao was also not stingy in his praise. Then, Tang Ao thought for a moment and said to the blood demon ancestor, "Follow me well from now on. The day I kill Yuan Feng will be the day you regain your freedom." Yuan Mo had always wanted to obtain the jade body of the Nine-Dragon Emperor. However, Tang Ao was the only person who possessed the jade body of the Nine-Dragon Emperor in the entire true martial world. Therefore, one didn't need to think to know that Tang Ao and Yuan Mo would fight. This old servant understands. After Tang Ao finished speaking, the blood demon ancestor nodded. "All right, now follow me back to the Black Cloud Mountains. When the 7-kill sect disciples trial is over, we'll return together. In addition, you can only absorb beast blood in the future, not human martial artists." When he said this, Tang Ao's voice was a little cold. The blood demon ancestor nodded immediately. Even though the blood demon ancestor's speed wasn't slow when he used the blood mist technique, he still couldn't catch up with Tang Ao, who was using the wind thunder dark cloud. Moreover, the blood demon ancestor didn't know that in order to wait for him, he could not catch up to Tang Ao. Moreover, what the blood demon ancestor didn't know was that Tang Ao didn't even use his full strength. Ye of the chaotic 6 Yun sect disciples. Of the Tang the demon ancestor, Cloud demon, and demon time, of Tang demon Chin and Ao's time. And time, Tang demon Ao time. Time, the Cloud demon Ling sect, Yang sect, the sect, he the time. Tang Ao waved his hand, and Han Xiao and the other two were swept out of the chaotic 6 light mirror. At this moment, although the three of them were still unconscious, their complexions were much better, and their lives were no longer in danger. For a long time, no disciple asked for help from Tang Ao, and everyone's points were slowly increasing. After Han Xiao and the other two woke up, they knew that Tang Ao had saved the three of them. Chapter 2059. Although the results were not included in the overall ranking, the three of them were still very happy to be able to continue the trial. Because of this period of time, the three of them had grown very quickly. Moreover, the cooperation between the three of them had also become more and more tacit. After Li Wenshu, who had recovered from his injuries, received Tang Ao's approval and continued the second trial with Zhong Ming. During this period of time, Tang Ao had been studying formations, while the blood demon ancestor had been stabilizing his cultivation and making the best use of his time to absorb and refine the medicinal power of the Tao condensation pill. 3 months passed very quickly. On the last day, Tang Ao used the token in his hand to summon all the disciples back to the campsite. After the trial, everyone's ranking was also determined. The first place in this trial was not the first on the Dragon and Phoenix leaderboard, nor was it the first genius of the inner sect, Chu Xian. Instead, it was the young man called Wei Pohu. Wei Pohu's hair was very short, only a thin layer. He only wore an unlined shirt, and his explosive muscles made him look very powerful. After asking, Tang Ao also knew why Wei Pohu did not have any points in the previous period of time. It turned out that Wei Pohu's luck was exceptionally good. After the trial began, he found a clear spiritual spring in the Dark Clouds Mountains. After that, Wei Pohu began to cultivate near the clear spiritual spring. In a short few days, Wei Pohu's cultivation continuously increased to the 7th level of the Origin Martial Realm. He also learned the first level of the 7 Slaughter Holy Path. Different from Tang Ao, Wei Pohu used a steel rod. Therefore, the martial skill that Wei Pohu derived using the 7 Slaughter Holy Path was naturally a rod technique. After hearing that Wei Pohu had actually comprehended the first level of the 7 Slaughter Holy Path, everyone was extremely envious. However, it was obvious that Wei Pohu was not the only one who comprehended the first level of the 7 Slaughter Holy Path. This was because Chu Xian had also comprehended the first level of the 7 Slaughter Holy Path. He was worthy of the title of the first genius of the inner sect. Therefore, in this trial's ranking, Chu Xian's ranking was only below Wei Pohu. Obviously, after comprehending the first level of the 7 Slaughter Holy Path, Chu Xian's battle power had greatly increased. At this moment, the 5 disciples who would be accompanying Tang Ao to Mystic Heaven City were also confirmed. They were Wei Pohu, Chu Xian, Taijing, Bai Qing, and Diying. Tang Ao was very unfamiliar with Diying. However, this taciturn disciple was clearly quite strong. Among the top 20 experts on the Dragon and Phoenix leaderboards, he was ranked 5th in terms of points. Moreover, Tang Ao discovered that after a short 3 months of training, everyone's aura had changed greatly, and their strength had increased by a lot. Right now, the one with the highest cultivation, Chu Xian, was at the peak of the 8th level of the Origin Realm. He was only a step away from the 9th level of the Origin Realm. With a wave of his hand, Tang Ao took out the flying spirit boat once again. Although they had seen this magnificent flying spirit boat before and had even personally ridden it to this place, they were still shocked when they saw it again. Through this trial, everyone's cultivation and battle experience had increased significantly. Therefore, when they returned to the 7 Kills sect, all the disciples were extremely excited. Chapter 2060. It wasn't long before the entrance of the 7 Kills sect appeared before Tang Ao. Tang Ao circulated his spirit energy and controlled the airship to slowly descend onto the Tao development field. When Tang Ao and the disciples who went out to train returned, Jing Wushang and the other sect elders had already arranged for the disciples to welcome the sect master back. "Senior brother Tang Ao, your method is really good. The auras of these little fellows have become much sharper," said Jing Wushang immediately after Tang Ao put the airship away. "Yes." Tang Ao nodded and asked, "Did anything happen in the sect during this period of time?" "Everything is normal in the sect during this period of time, and the 7 great powers haven't made any unusual movements," replied Jiang Zhulu immediately after Tang Ao asked. When Tang Ao left, Jiang Zhulu was basically managing the sect's affairs. "That's good. Is there still no news of senior brother Dongswani?" While Tang Ao led the disciples out to train, Tang Ao had asked Jiang Zhulu to search for Dongswani's whereabouts. But when he saw Jiang Zhulio's dejected expression, Tang Ao knew that Dongswani still hadn't been found. However, unlike Jiang Zhulu and the others, Tang Ao wasn't really worried about Dongswani. Even though he didn't know where Dongswani was with his strength, he was definitely living comfortably. However, this time around, Tang Ao was completely wrong. The reason for that was because Dongxian Yi was still competing with the Sky's Steel Rock. "I'll set up the sect guarding Grand Array again in the next few days. 3 days from now, I, guest Elder Jiang Shou, and Elder Jing Wushang will lead 5 inner court disciples to Profound Heaven City to participate in the Black Heaven meeting. If there's anything else, you can look for me at the Sect Master's Hall at any time." Tang Ao left the Tao development field as soon as he finished speaking. This time, Tang Ao wanted to set up a first-grade immortal array for the sect guarding Grand Array. But until now, there was still an urgent problem that Tang Ao had to solve, and that was that Tang Ao still couldn't refine a Grade 1 Immortal Array's array flags. After returning to the Sect Master's Hall, Tang Ao immediately went to the Sect Master's cultivation room and started to look for the reason for his failure. Tang Ao didn't continue looking at the abandoned formation flags. Instead, he took out a set of formation flags he obtained from Great Dream Tao Venerate's Tao Palace. This set of array flags was Tao Master's collection, and its grade was terrifyingly high, and it was a Grade 7 Immortal Array. If Tang Ao wasn't able to refine the Grade 1 Immortal Array flags, then he could only use this set of precious array flags. Tang Yongt able to use it. Tang Sex Aot able to use Tangt able to use array flags. Tang Sex Tang Spirit Long, who with the array flags. After his soul remembrance seeped in, Tang Ao's soul remembrance began to sense the array flags. Tang Ao's soul remembrance slowly wandered along the path of the inscription array in the array flag. Subsequently, Tang Ao discovered that apart from the extremely high level of these inscription arrays, there was no difference from the inscription arrays he had carved himself. However, what Tang Ao didn't understand was that the inscription array he had carved had a conflict of spirit power, which led to the destruction of the array flags. However, the inscription array in the array flags was perfectly combined. This question made Tang Ao very confused. However, as he observed the array flags, Tang Ao quickly found that something was wrong. There was another mysterious thing in the array flags besides the inscription array. This thing was similar to the laws of heaven and earth. The laws of heaven and earth. Thinking of this, Tang Ao's spirit was lifted. At the same time, Tang Ao understood what his inscription array was lacking. The inscription array he had carved was to combine all the mysterious patterns and runes according to the requirements. However, because Tang Ao didn't integrate his own understanding of the laws of heaven and earth into the inscription array, it caused Tang Ao's inscription array to be a pool of stagnant water. Under the torrential rain, the water in the pool had nowhere to drain, which led to the destruction of the array flags. Therefore, the reason Tang Ao failed to refine the Grade 1 Immortal Array flags was not because of the conflict of spirit power, but because his understanding of the Grade 1 Immortal Array was not thorough enough. Chapter 2061. The Sect Master's cultivation room was scorching hot. In the middle of the cultivation room, there was a smithing furnace with raging flames. As Tang Ao's hand seals changed, array flags began to swirl within the crafting furnace, before gradually taking shape. After they took shape, Tang Ao's powerful psyche instantly seeped into the interior of the array flags. Then, he started to carve patterns that looked like meridians inside the array flags. These lines crisscrossed and twisted thousands of times, looking very profound and complicated. Traces of spiritual power flowed along these profound patterns, causing these patterns to glow faintly. A moment later, an array flag was refined by Tang Ao. The entire process was as smooth as flowing water, and it was done in one go. Looking at the array flag in his hand, Tang Ao was very satisfied. During this period of time, Tang Ao's Grade 1 array flags had already reached the limit of Grade 1 array flags. Besides terrifying cultivation speed, a martial artist with the 9 Dragons Emperor's jade body also had shocking comprehension. This time, Tang Ao refined a lot of array flags. Because he wanted to set up the 7 Kills sect protecting array, Tang Ao refined a total of 360 array flags. 8 hours later, Tang Ao's 360 immortal array flags were finally completed. In fact, Tang Ao had already refined no less than 3,000 array flags. The reason why he stopped now was that these 360 array flags were what Tang Ao was most satisfied with. After all, setting up the 7 Kills sect protecting array could be considered a one-time thing. In the future, there might be more array Dao geniuses in the 7 Kills sect. However, Tang Ao felt that even with his array Dao inheritance, it would be difficult for future disciples to reach the standard of a Grade 1 Immortal Array Master in the Black-Yellow Continent. Therefore, after Tang Ao set up the 7 Kills sect protecting array, it was possible that the 7 Kills sect would keep using this array until it lost its effectiveness. With Tang Ao's current array Dao standard, he didn't dare to say how long it would last, but he could ensure that this array could be used normally for 30,000 to 50,000 years. 30 or 50,000 years later, Tang Ao would at least become an expert at the Muddy Heaven realm or even at the Dao Master level. At that time, Tang Ao would find some time to return to the 7 Kills sect and set up the array formation again. After putting away all the refined array flags, Tang Ao walked out of the sect master's cultivation room. The sect master's main hall of the 7 Kills sect was right next to the residences of the inner sect disciples. From this, one could tell that the successive sect masters of the 7 Kills sect all valued the disciples of the 7 Kills sect very much. The reason why the Grand Hall of the Sect Master was so close to the resting area of the inner sect disciples was so that the Sect Master could protect the future of the 7 Kills sect in time if anything were to happen. When Tang Ao walked out of the Sect Master's hall, the sky hadn't brightened yet, but Tang Ao noticed that some diligent disciples had started to head towards the 7 Slaughter sects Dao Development Reserve and other cultivation rooms. Perhaps it was because they'd been stimulated by the Dragon and Phoenix rankings, but all the inner court disciples had become even more diligent. After they saw Tang Ao, all the disciples hurriedly stopped moving and bowed in greeting. Greetings to sect leader Tang Ao. Cultivate properly. Tang Ao nodded lightly in response, and then he continued walking towards the Tao Development Reserve. On the Tao Development Reserve, there were elders passing down their experience in cultivation and answering the questions the numerous disciples encountered in their cultivation. When Tang Ao walked far away from the Tao Development Reserve, he noticed that there were unusually many disciples here today. Practically all the inner court and outer court disciples had arrived here. Chapter 2062. In next to no time, Tang Ao walked over to take a look, and Tang Ao instantly understood what was going on. It turned out that the elder that was teaching today was Kasahara Yuki. In the Seven Kills sect all those years ago, Kasahara Yuki and La Kale were known as the two great beauties of the inner court. After so many years, not only did Kasahara Yuki not show the slightest signs of age, she'd become even more enchanting instead. Even though this beautiful elder was slightly cold, there were still many disciples that really liked her. Coupled with the fact that Kasahara Yuki's voice was very pleasant to the ear, many disciples even closed their eyes and were infatuated by her voice. Tang Ao was speechless when he saw this. Tang Ao truly didn't understand if these fellows had come to see the beautiful elder or to cultivate. However, Tang Ao didn't say much. After all, everyone had been young once. They had all been through that age. However, Tang Ao felt that these disciples were truly slightly clumsy. Kasahara Yuki's natural talent in the martial Tao was extremely formidable, and her comprehension ability was extremely high as well. Now that she possessed a cultivation at the peak of the 7th level of the life and death realm, it was truly more than enough to guide these disciples that hadn't cultivated for long. If Tang Ao were them, he would definitely cultivate diligently while looking at the beautiful elder. Senior brother Tang Ao, is something the matter? While Tang Ao was pondering, Kasahara Yuki's voice suddenly sounded out. Kasahara Yuki had already noticed Tang Ao when Tang Ao arrived here. However, she didn't know why Tang Ao had come here. It's fine, it's fine. You can continue. Tang Ao smiled with slight embarrassment, and then he left the grounds as well. He couldn't say that he'd come to see this beautiful junior sister of his like those other disciples, could he? After leaving the grounds, Tang Ao quickly found Jiang Zhulu in the affairs hall of the sect. Because Tang Ao rarely managed the affairs of the sect, many matters of the sect were placed on Jiang Zhulu's shoulders. Fortunately, Jiang Zhulu had gradually gotten used to it after so many years. Right now, everything in the Seven Kills sect was running smoothly under Jiang Zhulu's arrangements. When Jiang Zhulu saw Tang Ao, he asked suspiciously, "Senior brother Tang Ao is looking for me? How did you know I was looking for you?" Tang Ao asked curiously. This was because Tang Ao was really here to look for Jiang Zhulu. After the Black-Yellow Conference, Tang Ao prepared to go into closed-door training to reach the astral reaching realm. Once his cultivation base reached the astral reaching realm, Tang Ao would take care of the matters in the Black-Yellow continent before heading to the ice-snow plain. After finding Chu Shuahan, Tang Ao would probably leave the Black-Yellow continent soon. If Dongxian Yi did not return after Tang Ao left the Black-Yellow continent, then Tang Ao could only leave the Seven Kills sect to Jing Wushang and Jiang Zhulu. Jing Wushang didn't understand Array Dao at all, so he naturally couldn't control the sect protecting Great Array. On the other hand, Jiang Zhulu cultivated Array Dao. Although his attainment in Array Dao was far inferior to Tang Ao's, handing over the sect protecting Great Array to him was clearly very suitable. Senior brother Tang Ao never comes to the affairs hall on ordinary days. Everything is handled by me. Something must have happened for you to suddenly visit today. Jiang Zhulu said with a bitter smile. Previously, when Supreme Elder Feng Ye and the other elders were around, Jiang Zhulu had never seen any of them so busy. Now that he had become an elder, Jiang Zhulu realized that he, an elder of the Seven Kills sect, was even more tired than the sect leader. Chapter 2063. Senior brother is right. Jiang Zhulu nodded and asked, "What did senior brother come to find me for?" "I want to rearrange the 7 kill sect protecting Great Array. After that, I'll teach you how to control it." Tang Ao said it casually, but Jiang Zhulio's face was filled with shock. "Senior brother Tang Ao, although the 7 kill sect protecting Great Array is broken, it's still a peak 6th grade spirit array. In the entire black-yellow continent, it's probably the most powerful array. Senior brother, do you really want to change the sect protecting Great Array?" Jiang Zhulu cultivated Array Dao, so his understanding of spirit arrays was far beyond the other martial artists of the 7 kill sect. "Indeed, this array's grade is too low. This time, I'm going to arrange a 1st grade immortal array. Let's go." Tang Ao didn't seem to notice Jiang Zhulio's shocked expression. After saying that, he led Jiang Zhulu out of the sect. At this moment, Jiang Zhulio's heart was no longer just shocked. He had also seen the Array Dao Jade slip left behind by Tang Ao. Therefore, he knew that there was an immortal array above the spirit array. However, Jiang Zhulu didn't expect Tang Ao's martial Dao cultivation to be so terrifying and domineering. Tang Ao's attainments in the Array Dao were also terrifying. Tang Ao said that he was going to arrange a 1st grade immortal array. Needless to say, the current Tang Ao was already a 1st grade immortal array master. If the sect protecting Great Array was a 1st grade immortal array, then the 7 kill sect would be safe in the future. A 1st grade immortal array was something that life and death realm martial artists would never be able to break. Right now, the strongest martial artists in the black-yellow continent were only life and death realm martial artists. Of course, Jiang Zhulu didn't know that the guest elder Jiang Shou, who came back with Tang Ao, was already at the 2nd level of astral reaching realm. Soon, Jiang Zhulu followed Tang Ao to the outside of the sect. Then, he saw Tang Ao fly up into the sky and form a series of hand seals. After Tang Ao formed these hand seals, the sect protecting Great Array of the 7 kill sect slowly appeared. Following which, Tang Ao pointed out with his finger, and a crack instantly appeared on the array. With Tang Ao's current Array Dao level, it wouldn't be a problem for him to retrieve the original array. It was just that Tang Ao felt that the original sect was too dilapidated, so Tang Ao directly destroyed it. The moment Tang Ao tore apart the sect-protecting formation, countless disciples of the 7 kills sect looked up in horror. Fortunately, Jiang Zhulio's voice rang out at this moment. "Disciples, don't worry and cultivate now. This is sect head Tang Ao changing our 7 kills sect-protecting array. In the future, the 7 kills sect-protecting Grand Array will be a 1st grade immortal array. Even the strongest sects in the black-yellow continent, the Heavenly Star Sacred Sect and the Xiahou family, don't have such an array." As Jiang Zhulio's voice fell, many disciples also became excited. Especially those disciples who had a better understanding of Array Dao, they excitedly introduced the 1st grade immortal array to their surrounding companions. Although they didn't have a deep understanding of 1st grade immortal arrays, they knew one thing. The 7 kill sect would be extremely safe in the future. Even if many forces besieged the 7 kill sect, the 7 kill sect's sect-protecting Grand Array would be unbreakable. Chapter 2064. In the sky above the 7 kills sect, as Tang Ao's attack landed, the 7 kills sect's defense array quickly shattered. Tang Ao's powerful spiritual energy instantly enveloped the entire sect. Under the shocked gazes of all the disciples, the array flags of the sect's defense array slowly emerged from various hidden positions. Some of these array flags were already broken, and some only had a corner left. It was said that these array flags were left behind by the founder of the 7 kills sect. They had witnessed the rise and fall of the 7 kills sect. But today, they would once again witness the 7 kills sect's nirvana. With a sweep of spiritual energy, Tang Ao swept all the tattered array flags together. Jiang Zhulu, who was by the side, kept the array flags. Although these array flags could no longer be used, they still had a special meaning to the Seven Kills sect. Following which, Jiang Zhulu saw Tang Ao raising his hand and throwing out array flags one after another. These array flags landed in specific locations. After these array flags landed, waves of spiritual energy rippled in all directions like a tide, forming a unique rhythm. Very soon, the 360 array flags in Tang Ao's hands were all set up. Immediately, Tang Ao stood in the void and struck out dozens of seals. Close the formation. Then, Tang Ao shouted and clasped his hands together. Suddenly, the entire Seven Kills sect's mountain gate trembled. Under such tremors, all the disciples naturally raised their heads to look at the sky. Subsequently, everyone saw a barrier shrouding the sect and disappearing in a flash. Subsequently, a layer of lightning net appeared above the entire sect. Finally, when the sect's tremors stopped, all the disciples were shocked to find that the surrounding spiritual energy seemed to be attracted by something and surged towards the Seven Kills sect continuously. "It's a spirit-gathering array," a disciple who cultivated in array techniques immediately exclaimed. But after shouting, everyone was shocked to find that the spirit-gathering array above the sect was gathering spiritual energy for the entire sect. Feeling the spiritual energy in the surrounding space getting denser, all the disciples were overjoyed. There were many places with dense heaven and earth spiritual energy in the black-yellow continent. However, there weren't many places with such dense heaven and earth spiritual energy. After setting up the entire array, Tang Ao handed a array flag to Jiang Zhulu. Since this array formation was personally set up by Tang Ao could control it without the array flag. However, Jiang Zhulu couldn't. If the array flag was not handed to Jiang Zhulu, the sect guarding array formation wouldn't be activated after Tang Ao left. While the disciples were still discussing how powerful the Seven Kills sect's sect guarding formation was, Tang Ao, Jing Wushang, and Tai Jing left the Seven Kills sect on the flying spirit boat, heading to the Xiantian city in the center of the black-yellow continent. Xiantian city was an open city that did not belong to any sect or force in the black-yellow continent. Moreover, there was no one managing Xiantian city. However, there was an established rule in the black-yellow continent that internal strife was not allowed in Xiantian city. This was because the Black Heaven City was the place where the top forces of the black-yellow continent discussed important matters. It could also be considered as the symbol of the black-yellow continent. Chapter 2065. Jing Wushang was surrounded by Tai Jing and the others. They were all asking Jing Wushang questions about cultivation and combat technique. Tang Ao didn't dare say anything else, but he knew that they had asked the right person to ask Jing Wushang about combat technique. Ever since Jing Wushang started cultivating, he'd spent a long period of time in battle. Aside from Tang Ao, he was the one with the most combat experience in the entire Seven Kills sect. More importantly, Jing Wushang's cultivation methods, martial techniques, life spirit, and secret arts had all been learned in the Seven Kills sect. Therefore, compared to Tang Ao, Jing Wushang's cultivation methods and martial techniques were more similar to Tai Jing's and the others. Although many of the combat techniques Jing Wushang had imparted to them could be said to be usable, the Blood Demon Patriarch's cultivation methods and martial techniques were more similar to those of Tai Jing and the others. Perhaps because they sensed the Blood Demon Patriarch's tyrannical aura along the way, no demonic beasts were foolish enough to attack the airship. Tang Ao didn't deliberately speed up, either. He just let the airship fly toward Xiantian City. Xiantian City was usually very lively, but with the start of the Xiantian meeting, it wasn't just Xiantian City that was bustling with activity. Even its surroundings had become extraordinarily lively. Although Xiantian City wasn't under the jurisdiction of any power, the shops and restaurants in the city had long been under their control. However, these powers only managed matters in their own territories. They wouldn't interfere with anything else in Xiantian City. The Xiantian Plaza in the center of Xiantian City was definitely the largest plaza in the entire Xiantian continent. The Seven Kills Sect's Dao Development Plaza was large enough, but the Xiantian Plaza in Xiantian City was 10 times the size of the Seven Kills Sect's Dao Development Plaza. At this moment, the various powers on the plaza were rushing over in all directions. The first to arrive was naturally the Heavenly Star Sacred Sect, which was closest to the plaza. Moreover, the cultivator from the Heavenly Star Sacred Sect wasn't some insignificant elder. The one who'd come was the sect master, Yan Fengxing. After Yan Fengxing took his seat, the primordial Xiahou family's flying spirit boat appeared in the air above the profound heaven plaza. Yan Fengxing saw that the Xiahou family's patriarch, Xiahou Jie, had come this time. After Yan Fengxing and Xiahou Jie arrived, the Ouyang family's and Murong realms' flying spirit boats appeared above the Xiantian Plaza. This time, Murong Ji, the master of the Murong family, came to the Murong world. However, compared to before, Murong Ji's spiritual power was much stronger. If one looked carefully, it would not be hard to find that Murong Ji had already reached astral reaching realm level 1. Ouyang clan head, you're finally willing to come out this time. Murong Ji said coldly when he saw Ouyang Changhe of the Ouyang aristocrat clan. In the previous 2 battles against the Seven Kills sect, this Ouyang Changhe had always used closed-door cultivation as an excuse to evade. The cultivators that the Ouyang clan sent were only some insignificant elders. This made Murong Ji very unhappy. Haha, brother Murong, there is no need to provoke me. If I could come, even if brother Murong didn't say it, I would still come. Ouyang Changhe did not mind Murong Ji's mockery at all. The Xiao clan and the Lei clan have also arrived. Just as Murong Ji was about to ridicule Ouyang Changhe suddenly spoke. Murong Ji raised his head and saw the Xiao clan and the Lei clan's flying spirit boat. After the Xiao clan and the Lei clan's flying spirit boats, there was also the heaven-transforming Dragon Pavilion's flying spirit boat. Obviously, these 3 forces had come together. Chapter 2066. Moreover, Lei Guchu wasn't the only one who had appeared. The Dragon Transformation Pavilion had only sent 1 person this time. However, everyone was inwardly shocked when they saw this person. This was because this person was the Dragon Transformation Pavilion's Supreme Elder, Yinglongzi. Yinglongzi was the same as Lei Guchu, a martial artist of the same generation as Fengye. As these experts showed up one after another, the atmosphere at the scene became tense. The Black-Yellow Conference was held once every 100 years. Although the sect masters and family heads of various factions had appeared in the previous Black-Yellow Conference, they had never appeared in person like this. Many people had already keenly sensed that a storm was about to come. That's the Longsong Sword Sect, the Green Lotus Valley, and the desolate ancient Luo family. At this moment, 3 huge flying spirit boats flew over. The atmosphere became even more tense when they saw the people on the 3 flying spirit boat. Even some martial artists who were prepared to watch the show tactfully retreated. That was because the Longsong Sword Sect had sent their previous sect master, Li Tianwen. In terms of seniority, Li Tianwen was 1 generation older than the 2 old men, Lei Gu and Chu. Moreover, Li Tianwen hadn't appeared in the Black-Yellow continent for thousands of years. He was also a martial artist that everyone thought had fallen. After Li Tianwen and the others took their seats, the other sects also arrived. However, everyone discovered that even after all the sects had arrived, the Seven Kills sect still hadn't appeared. According to Tang Ao's original plan, the Seven Kills sect should have arrived at the mysterious Heaven Plaza long ago. However, what Tang Ao hadn't expected was that on the way to the mysterious Heaven City, Tang Ao and Jing Wushang coincidentally sensed an opportunity to break through. Although the Black-Yellow Conference was more important, since they sensed an opportunity to break through, they naturally had to break through before leaving. In a valley, Jing Wushang slowly stood up. After cultivating for so many years, Jing Wushang had finally broken through to the 8th stage of the life and death realm. If Lian Yuan Shui hadn't broken through yet, Jing Wushang would have been the strongest person in the 7 Kills sect apart from Tang Ao. I didn't expect there to be such a coincidence. Now that we've been delayed on the road, I'm afraid the Black-Yellow Convention is about to begin. Tang Ao smiled bitterly. Breaking through was something that could not be predicted. He had been stuck at the 8th layer of life and death realm for a long time, and only needed an opportunity to break through to the 9th layer. On the way to Mysterious Heaven City, Tang Ao suddenly sensed something and successfully broke through to the 9th layer of life and death realm. As for Jing Wushang, he sensed the laws and Dao accumulations around Tang Ao and took advantage of Tang Ao's breakthrough. After packing up, Tang Ao did not continue his leisurely stroll towards Profound Heaven City. Instead, he increased the speed of the flying spirit boat to the maximum. What's up with the 7 Kills sect? Don't tell me he doesn't dare to come? After all the factions had arrived except for the 7 Kills sect, the surrounding cultivators who came to watch the Profound Yellow meeting spoke up. That's really hard to say. The 7 Kills sect was attacked twice by the 7 major factions, and they suffered heavy casualties on both occasions. This time, they are far away from the sect. Without the protection array, it's possible that the 7 Kills sect won't dare to come. What you're saying is wrong. The first time the 7 major factions attacked the 7 Kills sect, the 7 great elders of the 7 Kills sect died in battle, and Grand Elder Feng Ye was severely injured. However, the Desolate Era's Thunder Clan, Shao Clan, and Dragon Transformation Pavilion sect masters were all killed by Feng Ye in the 7 Kills sect. As for the second time the 7 major factions attacked the 7 Kills sect, the 7 Kills sect lost Elder Shao Linmu, and the 7 major factions lost 8 or 9 life and death realm martial artists. In the end, when the Green Lotus Valley's martial artists arrived, the 7 major factions were scared away. Chapter 2067. When Tang Ao arrived at the Profound Heaven Plaza, he heaved a sigh of relief when he saw that the Black-Yellow Convention had yet to officially begin. Although the 7 Kills sect had enmity with the 7 major factions, the Black-Yellow Convention was not just a matter between the 7 Kills sect and the 7 major factions. It was a grand event for all the martial artists in the Black-Yellow continent. After arriving at the Profound Heaven Plaza, Tang Ao landed with everyone and put away the flying spirit boat. But soon, Tang Ao's expression turned cold. As one of the 8 major sects in the Black-Yellow continent, the 7 Kills sect had a special seat. But now, the seat of the 7 Kills sect had been occupied by another sect. When Tang Ao and the others arrived, not only did the other party not give way, but they even looked at the 7 Kills sect with ridicule in their eyes. Before Tang Ao could get angry, a middle-aged martial artist landed in front of Tang Ao and the others. Because he did it on purpose, the tremendous force of his fall caused cracks to appear on the ground. Jing Wushang was enraged when he saw this scene. Jing Wushang knew this middle-aged man. He was the sect master of the Wu Kuei sect. The Wu Kuei sect was only a second-rate sect, but this Wu Kuei dared to show off in front of the 7 Kills sect. Humph. The 7 Kills sect sure has a lot of face to make so many sects in the Black-Yellow continent wait here for so long. Tang Ao, shouldn't you give us a reasonable explanation? As Wu Kuei spoke, his 8th level life and death realm spiritual power was revealed. After sensing Wu Kuei's 8th level life and death realm spiritual power fluctuations, many people's expressions changed. This was because it was rumored that the sect master of the 7 Kills sect, Tang Ao, was also at the 8th level life and death realm. Wu Kuei's provocation of Tang Ao was most likely because he wanted the Wu Kuei sect to replace the 7 Kills sect among the 8 major sections. It's not easy to cultivate to the 8th level life and death realm. But what everyone didn't expect was that in the face of Wu Kuei's provocation, Tang Ao only said one sentence in a very calm manner. Before Wu Kuei could react, Tang Ao raised his hand and a desolate green sword chi swept towards Wu Kuei. When he saw Tang Ao's casual sword strike, Wu Kuei didn't take it seriously at all, and he immediately intended to attack Tang Ao. However, Wu Kuei was shocked to discover that he couldn't move at all under Tang Ao's sword. Tang Ao's powerful aura was like an invisible hand that pressed him to the ground. At this moment, Wu Kuei wanted to beg for mercy, but he couldn't even utter a single word. At this moment, Wu Kuei also understood what Tang Ao meant. Cultivating to the 8th level of the life and death realm was truly not easy. As a cloud of blood mist exploded, Wu Kuei, who had just provoked Tang Ao, was smashed into pieces by Tang Ao's green lotus sword chi. A gentle breeze blew past, and the blood mist dissipated. This former life and death realm 8th level warrior didn't even have the chance to reincarnate. After Tang Ao killed Wu Kuei, Morongji smashed the stone table in front of him into pieces. Sect leader Tang Ao, are you here to show off your power today? Could it be that you don't care about all the powerful warriors in the black-yellow continent? Morongji was very depressed at this moment. This Wu Kuei sect was actually a sect that the Murong family was secretly supporting. Originally, Morongji wanted to let Wu Kuei anger Tang Ao so that he and the others could attack together and kill the people from the 7 Kills sect first. However, how could Morongji expect that in less than half a year, Tang Ao had become so powerful? Wu Kuei, who was at the 8th level of the life and death realm, couldn't even beg for mercy in front of Tang Ao before he was killed by Tang Ao with one sword strike. Chapter 2068. Leader Tang Ao, since your 7 Kill sect has so few people, and this place is so big, why don't our Yellow Cloud Valley sit here with your 7 Kill sect? What do you think? At this moment, the leader of the Yellow Cloud Valley, Hu Huanyun, was also feeling nervous. Although his cultivation was a bit higher than Wu Kuei's, there was still a limit. Therefore, without even thinking, Hu Huanyun knew that he was definitely not Tang Ao's opponent. However, occupying the 7 Kill sect's spot was the will of the Thunder family behind Hu Huanyun. Just now, he had received a message from the great elder of the Lei family, telling him not to move out of the way. At the critical moment, Lei Guchu would make a move himself. Thinking that Lei Guchu would make a move himself, Hu Huanyun's heart slowly calmed down. Others might not know how powerful Lei Guchu was, but Hu Huanyun did. Why didn't Lei Guchu show up the last 2 times when the 7 forces attacked the 7 Kill sect? It was because Lei Guchu was in closed-door training to reach the astral reaching realm. Right now, he had already reached the first level of the astral reaching realm. As long as Lei Guchu had the right reason, he would be able to take down this Tang Ao in an instant. Thinking of this, Hu Huanyun was even more confident. However, right at this moment, Hu Huanyun saw Tang Ao raise his arm. Hu Huanyun was so scared that his soul almost left his body. He hurriedly said, "Leader Tang Ao, don't do it. Let's talk this out, let's talk this out." However, what Hu Huanyun didn't expect was that Tang Ao only raised his hand and patted on Hu Huanyun's shoulder, then said casually, "Leader Hu, don't worry. I won't kill you. Moreover, I think what you said makes sense." Hearing that Tang Ao didn't plan to kill him, Hu Huanyun let out a sigh of relief. The moment he raised his hand, Hu Huanyun felt as if he had just walked through the gates of hell. Seeing Hu Huanyun's cowardly look, the surrounding people also shook their heads inwardly. This Hu Huanyun was a leader of a sect after all, yet he was so afraid of death. "Leader Hu, do you see where the Heavenly Star Sacred Sect is?" Before Hu Huanyun could understand the meaning of Tang Ao's words, Tang Ao opened his mouth again. Yes, yes. Hu Huanyun wiped the cold sweat off her forehead and nodded like a chick pecking rice. Look, this time around, our 7 Kills sect has sent 8 people, but the Heavenly Star Sacred sect has only sent 4. Wouldn't the seats be more spacious? After saying this, Tang Ao patted Hu Huanyun's face and said, All right, Sect Master Hu Huanyun, bring your Yellow Cloud Valley's people to squeeze with the Heavenly Star Sacred Sect's people. There aren't many people from your Yellow Cloud Valley. Let's go. Sect Master Tang Ao, this won't do. Hu Huanyun had not expected Tang Ao to be so difficult to deal with. At the same time, Hu Huanyun felt incomparably vexed. Lei Guchu still had no intention of making a move. If this went on, Hu Huanyun would lose face, but Hu Huanyun was worried that he would lose his life here. Sect leader Hu Huanyun, why do you sound like you're farting? Wherever is spacious, of course you have to sit. Let me send you on your way. As Tang Ao spoke, he used his spiritual power and threw Hu Huanyun in the direction of the Heavenly Star Sacred Sect. Chapter 2069. This Tang is merely stating the facts. How is this a demonstration? Sect leader Hu Huanyun saw that there were only 8 people from my 7 Kills sect and felt that the 7 Kills sect's seats were more spacious. This Tang feels that it makes sense. After seeing that there were only 4 people from the Heavenly Star Sacred sect, this Tang naturally invited sect leader Hu Huanyun over. It's just a pity that sect leader Hu Huanyun died an innocent death. Pitiful, pitiful, truly pitiful. Upon hearing Tang Ao's words, the surrounding crowd was immediately speechless. Who was the cause of Hu Huanyun's tragic death? Wasn't it because Tang Ao had thrown Hu Huanyun over so that Yan Fengxing could kill him? In the end, Tang Ao was saying that Hu Huanyun was pitiful instead. Sect leader Tang Ao, the 7 Kills sect is indeed full of geniuses. After Feng Ye and Luo Guxiao, there's a genius sect leader like you. However, does sect leader Tang Ao think that he's invincible in the Black-Yellow continent? How dare he commit murder at the Black-Yellow meeting? This time, it was Lei Guchu, the supreme elder of the primordial Thunder family, who spoke. Lei Guchu had brought Hu Huanyun and the Yellow Cloud Valley here to hand them over to Tang Ao. As long as Tang Ao killed them, he would naturally have an excuse to deal with the 7 Kills sect. Now that the few old fellows had come out of seclusion, there was naturally no need for the 7 Kills sect to exist anymore. Originally, they didn't have such deep enmity with the 7 Kills sect. However, now that the 7 major forces had besieged the 7 Kills sect twice, the enmity between both parties was already irreconcilable. Once the 7 Kills sect caught their breath, they would be the unlucky ones. Elder Lei is right. This Tang has only cultivated for slightly more than 100 years. How can I dare to say that I'm invincible? I also deeply sympathize with sect leader Hu Huanyun's misfortune. How about this, my 7 Kills sect is also recruiting disciples now. The few of you can join my 7 Kills sect from now on. Tang Ao said to the few youths sitting on the seats of the 7 Kills sect. These youths were obviously the genius disciples of the Yellow Cloud Valley. Although they couldn't compare to Tai Zheng and the rest, they were still not bad. After saying that, Tang Ao said to a middle-aged man in front of the Yellow Cloud Valley disciples, "You are an elder of Yellow Cloud Valley, right?" When this middle-aged man heard that Tang Ao was talking to him, he hurriedly stood up and bowed. Sect head Tang Ao, I am Yellow Cloud Valley's deputy sect head, Zheng Han. Please assign me to sect head Tang Ao. Compared to Hu Huanyun, Zheng Han was much more knowledgeable. From the moment they left Yellow Cloud Valley, Zheng Han knew that Lei Guchu, that old fellow, did not have any good intentions. Now, Zheng Han could see that Lei Guchu had brought them here to be killed by Tang Ao. If he still didn't recognize the situation at this time, he, Zheng Han, would inevitably follow in Hu Huanyun's footstep. Yes, very good. Sect leader Zheng Han, I deeply sympathize with sect leader Hu Huanyun. From today onwards, your Yellow Cloud Valley is a subsidiary sect of my 7 Kills sect. If anyone dares to touch your Yellow Cloud Valley, this seat will not let them off lightly. Now, go back and tidy up Yellow Cloud Valley. Pick out some of the disciples who are rather talented in the martial way. After some time, I will send someone to fetch them. When Zheng Han heard Tang Ao's words, it was as if he had been granted amnesty. He immediately nodded his head in acknowledgement and quickly gathered the group of Yellow Cloud Valley disciples to leave this place. As for whether to let Yellow Cloud Valley become a subsidiary sect of the 7 Kills sect, Zheng Han still did not want to consider this now. Zheng Han only knew that the most important thing now was to leave this troublesome place as soon as possible. The Black-Yellow meeting this time would definitely not be simple. After this Black-Yellow meeting ended, Zheng Han would once again assess the situation and decide where to go. Under Zheng Han's lead, the Yellow Cloud Valley's martial artists quickly left the Black Heaven City's plaza. And after Wu Kuei and Hu Huanyun died tragically for provoking the 7 Kills sect, no one else dared to step forward to provoke the 7 Kills sect. At the same time, the atmosphere at the scene became increasingly tense. Chapter 2070. Who is this person? Tang Ao had left the Black-Yellow continent for too long, so he didn't recognize the old man on the stage at all. However, Tang Ao knew that this old man in coarse clothes was the strongest person here apart from the blood demon ancestor. After arriving here, Tang Ao had discovered that these old fellows were basically all astral-reaching existences. However, some of them had broken through not too long ago, while others had stopped for a period of time. However, none of them had surpassed the first level of the astral-reaching realm. At this moment, Li Tianwen was the strongest person on the stage. The spirit power within his body was vigorous and surging, reaching the peak of the first level of the astral-reaching realm. Among the people present, Li Tianwen was one of the few experts who didn't have any enmity towards the 7 Kills sect. However, Tang Ao knew that this was only temporary. The 7 Kills sect didn't have much interaction with them in the first place. Once a conflict of interest arose, it would be unavoidable. The existence of the Black-Yellow Conference was to distribute the cultivation resources of the Black-Yellow continent. In this way, it would be hard for the 7 Kills sect to not have a conflict of interest with them. Sect leader, this person is the supreme elder of the Longsong Sword sect, Li Tianwen. It's said that his seniority is even higher than our supreme elder Fengya. Moreover, the previous Black-Yellow Conference was also presided over by the Longsong Sword sect. I didn't expect that the person from the Longsong Sword sect would be him this time. Compared to Tang Ao, Jing Wushang knew a bit more about the experts of the Black-Yellow continent. After Li Tianwen got on the stage, he scanned the crowd and said, "For a long time, the 8 great sects and 6 great families have controlled more than 90% of the cultivation resources of the Black-Yellow continent. Moreover, they have maintained a relatively stable state. 10 years ago, the 7 great forces besieged the 7 Kills sect, and half a year ago, the 7 great forces besieged the 7 Kills sect, but this balance has not been broken." Li Tianwen didn't hold back in his words, as if he wasn't afraid of offending the 7 Kills sect or the 7 great forces. When Li Tianwen finished speaking, many people in the direction of the 7 major forces had ugly expressions on their faces. The 7 Kills sect was merely a sect of the same level as them. However, the 7 of them had joined forces and besieged the 7 Kills sect twice. Yet, they still could not take down the 7 Kills sect. Didn't that mean that they were trash? It wasn't just the 7 major factions. The 7 Kills sect didn't feel good either when Li Tianwen said that. It could be said to be a very humiliating thing for a sect to be attacked twice. However, Tang Ao did not think much of it. After all, with the 7 kills sect's strength back then, it would already be a victory for them if they could survive the combined attacks of the 7 great powers. In other words, if Tang Ao had his current level of cultivation back then, none of the people who had attacked the 7 kills sect back then would have been able to escape. Although many top-notch experts from various forces had come here today, Tang Ao wasn't afraid at all. Not to mention that Tang Ao was already at the 9th level of life and death realm. There was also the 2nd level astral reaching realm blood demon ancestor on Tang Ao's side. As for Jing Wushang, Tang Ao could only smile bitterly. Although Jing Wushang's cultivation base wasn't weak, facing these old monsters participating in the Black-Yellow Convention today, his cultivation base was truly not enough. Tang Ao looked around. These top powers and clans of the Clan of the Ancients were basically all great elders or sect masters of their respective powers. Chapter 2071. Alright, let's cut to the chase. Let's talk about the resources that will be distributed this time. The best resources in the Xianhuang continent are gathered in the Xianhuang mountain range. According to the agreement made by our ancestors, the resources in the Xianhuang mountain range will be distributed once every 100 years. There are 21 supreme-grade spiritual mines in the Xianhuang mountain range. The production of spiritual stones has been stable for the past 100 years. 94 superior-grade spiritual mines. Then, Tang Ao heard Li Tianwen listing out a bunch of cultivation resources on the high platform, as well as the current ownership of these cultivation resources. Although Tang Ao didn't care about the superior-grade spiritual stones or supreme-grade spiritual stones, he was still slightly surprised when he heard about the rich cultivation resources in the Xianhuang mountain range. After Li Tianwen finished, Tang Ao could tell that the 7 kills sect from 100 years ago was the strongest among the many sections. Of the 21 supreme-grade spiritual mines, the 7 kills sect had 3. Only the Xiahou family had reached the same level as the 7 kills sect. As for the superior-grade spiritual mines, there were as many as 17. In addition, there were all kinds of herb mountains and spiritual fields. It was obvious that the 7 kills sect from 100 years ago was much stronger than it was now. However, the 7 kills sect wasn't weak either. It still existed after being besieged twice by the 7 great factions. Now that the 7 kills sect had recovered, it would only be a matter of time before it became the #1 sect in the Xianhuang continent. The same rules apply. All the sects in the Xianhuang continent that want to participate in the Xianhuang mountain range's resource distribution can send their disciples to the arena. The ranking battle will begin when there are only 100 people left. Li Tianwen took a step forward and landed on his seat. At the same time that Li Tianwen returned, the 3 disciples of the Longsong Sword sect also made their moves and stepped onto the arena. After the 3 disciples from the Longsong Sword sect entered the arena, the other sects and factions also sent their disciples to the arena. Tang Ao noticed that there were as few as 1 disciple among them, and as many as 3. In addition to the disciples of the 8 great sects and the 6 great clans of the primordial era, there were also many small forces that sent their elite disciples to compete for the cultivation resources in the Xianhuang mountain range. One had to know that if it was anywhere else, even if it was just a low-grade spiritual ore vein, a few small sects would probably fight for it till their heads bled. However, in this time's Black-Yellow meeting, as long as one sect's disciples could enter the top 100, not to mention a low-grade spirit ore vein, they could even obtain a middle-grade or even high-grade spirit ore vein. In the cultivation of martial arts, apart from one's own efforts and martial arts talent, the most important thing was cultivation resources. The Xianhuang mountain range was the place with the most concentrated resources in the entire Xianhuang continent. If a small sect could obtain a high-grade spiritual ore vein, or even a medium-grade spiritual ore vein in the black-yellow convention, then the sect would definitely be able to develop rapidly in the next 100 years. Furthermore, a sect could only send a maximum of 3 disciples to participate in the black-yellow convention. Therefore, the total number of disciples from the 8 major sects and the 6 major clans of the ancients only amounted to 42 people. Apart from these 42 people, the difference between the disciples of the other sects wasn't that great. Chapter 2072. After a while, there were over 1,000 young men and women on the stage at the center of the plaza. It wasn't hard to see how much the various powers in the Xianhuang continent were passionate about the Xianhuang conference. You guys go up too. If anyone challenges the 7 kills sect's dignity, don't hold back, Tang Ao said to Xian and the other 2 after seeing that most of the sect's disciples had gone up. It was actually very unfair for the Xianhuang conference to adopt such a chaotic battle format. Because in the arena, if a sect's disciple was targeted, it would be very easy for him to be swept out. Tang Ao didn't even need to think to know that if Xian and the other 2 went up, the disciples of the 7 great powers wouldn't be able to sit still. Because of that, Tang Ao told Xian and the other 2 not to hold back. However, Tang Ao also discovered that the 7 great powers weren't completely united. Otherwise, the incident between the Heavenly Star Sacred Sect and the desolate ancient clan wouldn't have happened. Thinking of that, Tang Ao also watched the battle that was about to begin on the stage with interest. At that moment, the number of cultivators on the stage finally stabilized. Gradually, there were no more cultivators going up. Which sect's disciple still wants to participate? Hurry up and go up. Li Tianwen's voice didn't waste any time and spread throughout the plaza. However, there was still no one who went up. Seeing this, Li Tianwen nodded and said, "Let's begin." The instant Li Tianwen's voice landed, a terrifying spiritual power surged out of the entire stage. All sorts of colorful fate spirits kept on blossoming on the stage. In just an instant, a cultivator died on the stage. The Xianhuang Conference was a grand event for all the sects in the Xianhuang continent. At the same time, it was an opportunity for many sections. However, this opportunity wasn't easy to grasp. The reason why the top-notch sects were getting stronger and stronger was because they had a large amount of cultivation resources in their hands. With these cultivation resources, the top-notch sects would be able to continuously nurture expert. Currently, within the 1,600 people on the stage, the strongest cultivator was already at the peak of the 9th level of the Origin Martial Realm. The weakest had only just entered the Origin Martial Realm. The martial artists who just entered the Origin Realm brought the hopes of their respective schools and stepped onto the stage with hopes of luck. But after going up, other than a small portion of people, most of them did not have the chance to come down. To Tang Ao's surprise, Tang Ao did not see the disciples of the 7 major forces besieging the disciples of the 7 kills sect. This made Tang Ao a little puzzled, but after a moment, Tang Ao understood the reason. Although the disciples of these small sects were generally weak, there were still geniuses among them. If they were to fight the 7 kills sect now, they would have to pay a price even if they could eliminate Xian and the other 2. This was only the first chaotic battle of the Black-Yellow meeting, and there was utterly no need for both sides to be heavily injured with the 7 kills sect. Moreover, the 7 great factions weren't united. Everyone wanted to get a piece of the mysterious Yellow Mountain Range's resources. Therefore, none of the martial artists from the 7 great factions chose to take the initiative to attack the 7 kills sect. Chapter 2073. Although these small sects don't have as many resources as the 8 great sects and the 6 great families, they still nurture quite a few decent disciples. Jing Wushang, who was next to Tang Ao, sighed emotionally as he looked at the remaining 600 people on the stage. Correct. Also, because these small sects don't have abundant cultivation resources, their disciples have to think of ways to obtain cultivation resources themselves. So, their battle experience is also very terrifying. Tang Ao had been watching the battles on the stage. So, Tang Ao discovered that although some of the cultivators didn't have high cultivation, their battle experience and battle awareness were stronger than Xian's group of 3. Another hour later, there were only about 200 people left on the dueling platform. At this time, the battles on the stage became more and more intense. At the start, the cultivators on the stage would do their best to avoid contact with the cultivators from the 8 great sects and 6 great families. But now, no one on the stage could stay out of it. Even the disciples of the 8 major sects and 6 major clans were fighting with each other at this moment. At that time, the cultivators from the 7 great powers immediately surrounded Xian's group of 3 from the 7 Kills sect. Their goal was very clear. They wanted to eliminate Xian's group of 3. But at this time, the remaining cultivators on the stage were all extremely strong. So, it wasn't that easy for them to get close to Xian's group of 3. They didn't even take a few steps before they were stopped by their own opponent. Jiang Baihe of the White Crane sect seeks guidance from Senior from the 7 Kills sect. Just at that time, a young man wearing fluttering white clothes appeared in front of Xian. He was also the strongest opponent Xian had faced so far. His cultivation was the same as Xian's, at the 8th level of the Origin Martial Realm. Xian didn't understand. There were clearly so many people at the 6th and 7th level of the Origin Martial Realm on the stage. Why would the young man find him? But Xian wasn't afraid in the slightest. After clasping his hands together and returning the greeting, he calmly said, "Please enlighten me." The battles on the stage continued like wildfire. There were cultivators constantly being swept off the stage, and there were also cultivators constantly being killed on the stage. But the cultivators on the stage still had resolute gazes as they fought. They had endured too much in this battle. The Black-Yellow meeting that was held once in 100 years would decide whether a sect that devoted all of its resources to nurture itself could win a place in the Black-Yellow continent in the next 100 years. Ah! With a blood-curdling scream, a martial artist from the Heavenly Star Sacred Sect was cut in half at the waist by a white-robed youth from the Longsong Sword Sect. This was also the first time a martial artist from the 8 great sects and 6 great clans had fallen. Following the fall of the Heavenly Star Sacred Sect's cultivator, the battle on the dueling platform became even more intense. After the time it took for an incense stick to burn, the battle on the duel arena gradually came to a stop. The battle this time around could be said to be extremely intense. At this moment, there was already a layer of blood on the dueling platform. Many of the people on the dueling platform were blasted off the platform, but there were even more warriors who were directly killed on this bloody dueling platform. Chapter 2074. Brother Chu, you and I didn't use our full strength in the battle just now. If we meet again in the ranking battle, please give it your all. Of course. Xian retracted the 6 golden flames that floated around him after saying that. On the other side, the 2 who were still fighting were at the 7th level of the Origin Martial Realm. One of them was a disciple of the Celestial Star Sacred Sect, while the other was from an unknown small sect. Under everyone's shocked gazes, the small sect's disciple took a step forward and the ground trembled. Then, the small sect's disciple suddenly exploded. He held a broad axe with both hands and chopped towards the Celestial Star Sacred Sect's disciple. Ding! The Celestial Star Sacred Sect's disciple's long saber was knocked away by the huge axe. Then, without waiting for the Celestial Star Sacred Sect's disciple to make any move, the broad axe chopped the Celestial Star Sacred Sect's disciple in half like a watermelon. At this point, the top 100 of the Xian Wang Conference had appeared. Yan Fengxing was furious that 2 of the Celestial Star Sacred Sect's disciples had died while advancing to the top 100. He raised his hand and grabbed towards the young man who killed the Celestial Star Sacred Sect's disciple. Facing Yan Fengxing's attack, the young man's eyes were filled with despair. Fortunately, Li Tianwen waved his hand and dissolved Yan Fengxing's attack. After that, Li Tianwen said expressionlessly, "The top 100 have been decided. After resting for 2 hours, everyone will proceed to the ranking battle." Although Li Tianwen hadn't shown his face in the Xianwang continent for 1,000 years, although Li Tianwen hadn't appeared in the Xianwang continent for 1,000 years, the Xianwang conference 1,000 years ago was basically hosted by Li Tianwen. Therefore, Li Tianwen was very familiar with hosting the Xianwang conference again. Xian and the other 2 returned behind Tang Ao. Xian and Wei Pohu had expended a lot of energy. Tai Zheng was a bit luckier as he hadn't encountered any powerful figures in the arena. Tang Ao took out medicinal pills from his storage ring and fed them to the 3 before saying, "There are many strong opponents this time. You 3 shouldn't be careless." Tang Ao was very confident in Xian and the other 2's strength. However, the other force's disciples were also strong. Some of the smaller sects also had monstrous geniuses. Therefore, Tang Ao had to remind Xian and the others to be careful. Even so, from Tang Ao's point of view, Xian and the other 2 had a chance of entering the top 10. Whether they could enter the top 10 depended on luck. This was because in the following battles, if he was unlucky and encountered a cultivator with average strength but could restrain him, it was not impossible for him to be defeated. Moreover, Tang Ao had already seen that Jiang Baihe, who had just exchanged blows with Xian, cultivated ice spiritual power, which was mutually restrained by Xian. There was also a martial artist from a small sect with peerless agility. If Wei Pohu were to face off against such a martial artist, he might not even be able to touch his clothes. But at the same time, although this martial artist's movement technique was ingenious, his attack power was obviously lacking. With Wei Pohu's powerful physical body, as long as his vitals weren't hit, he wouldn't be able to break through Wei Pohu's defenses. Chapter 2075. However, many understood that the situation was only temporary. Now that the Yellow Mountain Range's resources were being distributed, the 7 factions were fighting their own battles. Once the Yellow Mountain Range's resources were distributed, however, it would be time for the 7 factions to attack the 7 Kills sect. The 7 factions had joined forces to attack the 7 Kills sect twice, and the grudge between them had long been irreconcilable. Many of the venerated elders of the 7 factions had come, obviously prepared to kill the sect leader, Tang Ao, before swallowing the sect in one fell swoop. Time's up. The rules for this ranking tournament remain the same. Opponents will be randomly assigned. The winner will advance to the winner's bracket and fight the opponent in the winner's bracket, while the loser will fight the opponent in the loser's bracket. 1 point for every win, 2 points deducted for every loss. 5 consecutive losses will fix your ranking, and you will not be allowed to fight again. 10 consecutive wins will qualify, and there's no need to fight anymore. Let's begin. Li Tianwen waved his hand when he was done, and a giant formation screen appeared before the crowd. On this huge array formation screen were the names of each martial artist, as well as their respective opponents. Tang Ao saw that Xian's opponent was, unfortunately, the young man named Jiang Baihe. Tai Zheng's opponent was rather interesting as well, one of the 2 great geniuses of the 7 Kills sect's inner sect, Yi Guhong. However, Yi Guhong was now a disciple of House Xiahou of the primordial era, and the only disciple the house had brought with them that didn't share the same surname. In fact, while Yi Guhong's cultivation base wasn't bad in House Xiahou, he was still a notch below the pinnacle of the house's combat power. House Xiahou hadn't brought Yi Guhong here because they didn't expect him to perform amazingly. They only wanted to discuss the 7 Kills sect a little. Tang Ao had to admit that House Xiaoho's plan had succeeded, because Tang Ao was truly disgusted by Yi Guhong. Not only was Yi Guhong not embarrassed when he saw that his opponent was Tai Jing, he even looked delighted. In Yi Guhong's mind, he couldn't lose even if he wanted to if Tai Jing was his opponent. However, Tang Ao also wanted to tell Yi Guhong that Tai Jing was no longer who he used to be. It was undoubtedly a fool's dream for him to win this battle. Very quickly, the originally intact dueling platform began to tremble. Following which, the spectators watched as the previously intact dueling platform split into 36 individual dueling platforms. This time, without Li Tianwen's words, the warriors stepped onto the arena and began the battle. Wei Pohu's opponent was the last disciple of the Heavenly Star Sacred Sect. This time, the Heavenly Star Sacred Sect had sent a total of 3 people, and now, only this last disciple was left. This was something that no one had expected. If the last disciple of the Heavenly Star Sacred Sect was also defeated, then the Heavenly Star Sacred Sect would become a laughingstock in this session of the Profound Yellow Convention. As the overlord of the previous Black-Yellow Convention, he had almost been eliminated this time. At this moment, Heavenly Star Sacred Sect's Supreme Elder Yan Fengxing's face was so gloomy that it seemed like it could drip water. Yan Fengxing couldn't imagine that while he was in seclusion trying to break through to the astral-reaching realm, Heavenly Star Sacred Sect's disciples were actually this weak. Even a martial artist from a small sect could kill an inner sect disciple of the Heavenly Star Sacred Sect with a swing of his axe. Chapter 2076. Wei Pohu's strength lay in his strong defense and overbearing attack power. What he lacked was dexterity. The martialist from the Heavenly Star Sacred Sect did not take the dexterity route either. He focused entirely on attacking without paying attention to defense. Tang Ao had seen his battle just now. The reason he could fight 3 martialists of the same realm without losing was because his attack power was too fierce. The other 3 didn't even have a chance to attack him. However, this was not the case now that he was facing Wei Pohu. "I admit defeat," a martialist from a small sect suddenly shouted in less than 10 breaths of time after the ranking battle began. However, as soon as he finished shouting, his opponent's attack instantly landed on him. Terrifying thunderbolts bloomed in the hands of the martialist from the Thunder Clan. The martialist from the small sect was killed on the spot. "Since you admitted defeat, why did you hurt him?" Li Tianwen's face turned ugly. Not to mention this group of people, even during the Black-Yellow Convention 1,000 years ago, such a thing wouldn't happen after admitting defeat. Junior already gave him the chance to admit defeat, but he insisted on fighting Junior. "I couldn't hold back just now, so I accidentally killed him." Facing Li Tianwen's accusation, the martialist from the Thunder Clan showed no signs of repentance. It was as if killing the other party after admitting defeat was a very ordinary and trivial matter. "Very good." Li Tianwen only said 2 words in response to the martialist's reply. Li Tianwen's words stunned the martialist, but before he could recover, a tearing aura bloomed in his body. In an instant, the martialist from the Thunder Clan was torn to pieces by countless sword auras. Tang Ao frowned after seeing this. Even with Tang Ao's eyesight, he couldn't see how Li Tianwen had attacked. However, Tang Ao had a good impression of Li Tianwen. As the host of the Black-Yellow Convention, Li Tianwen didn't show any favoritism. Even if the Thunder Clan's disciple had violated the rules, Li Tianwen would kill him instantly. "Li Tianwen, what do you mean by this?" Lei Guchu couldn't sit still when he saw the Thunder Clan's disciple killed. "Elder Lei, could it be that what happened just now was your idea?" Li Tianwen snorted coldly, not afraid of Lei Guchu at all. Upon hearing Li Tianwen's words, Lei Guchu gritted his teeth and sat back down. This time, the disciples of the primeval Thunder Clan were in the wrong. Even if he fell out with Li Tianwen, he wouldn't be in the right. However, if he didn't say anything about the death of a disciple of the Thunder family, it would be a disgrace to the Thunder family. When Lei Guchu thought of the Heavenly Star Sacred Sect, his mood immediately improved. Up until now, the Thunder clan had only lost one disciple, but the Heavenly Star Sacred Sect had lost 2 disciples. Lei Guchu really wanted to see old man Yan Fengxing's expression if this disciple on the stage died as well. Wei Pohu of the 7 Kills sect. Please enlighten me. Although the 7 Kills sect and the Heavenly Star Sacred Sect were enemies at this moment, Wei Pohu still cupped his fists politely when he got on stage. After Wei Pohu finished speaking, Yen Yen of the Heavenly Star Sacred Sect said calmly, "Scram. I don't want to waste spiritual power." He was the strongest disciple of the Heavenly Star Sacred Sect this year. Although the previous 2 were ranked 2nd and 3rd among the inner sect disciples of the Heavenly Star Sacred Sect, they still weren't a match for Yen Yen. Chapter 2077. Please enlighten me. Wei Pohu's face turned cold when he heard Yen Yan's impolite words. Wei Pohu was a modest person, but he definitely wasn't one to blindly concede and compromise. Wei Pohu definitely wouldn't mind teaching a lesson to such an insolent fellow. "You're courting death." Yen Yen flew into a rage when he saw Wei Pohu insist on fighting him. In the blink of an eye, countless scorching stars enveloped the entire dueling platform. These were a special combination of fate souls. These fate souls were like stars, yet they were also like balls of scorching flames. After Yen Yen released his fate souls, the temperature of the entire arena instantly rose by a few degrees. Then, Yen Yan's attacks bombarded Wei Pohu like a torrential storm. Yan Fengxing frowned when he saw Yen Yan's fighting style. Although such an attack was ferocious, it also consumed a lot of spiritual power. Moreover, controlling so many fate souls at the same time was too scattered. Such an attack looked frightening, but in reality, it was full of flaws. Yan Fengxing didn't understand how this genius disciple that the Heavenly Star Sacred Sect held in such high esteem could be so stupid. However, to be able to control so many star fate souls at the same time, Yen Yan's Heavenly Star art had at least reached the 7th stage. Yan Fengxing let out a sigh of relief when he thought of this. He only hoped that Yen Yen could create some sort of surprise. On the other side, Tang Ao shook his head. Tang Ao already knew that Yen Yen was definitely not Wei Pohu's match. Now that he saw Yen Yen attack, Tang Ao was even more certain that Yen Yen would definitely lose in less than 50 rounds. If Wei Pohu used the 7 Slaughter Divine Path, it was extremely likely that the battle would end within 10 rounds. However, Tang Ao felt that since the ranking tournament had just begun, Wei Pohu probably wouldn't use such a trump card. Since the Heavenly Star Sacred Sect only had 1 disciple left, most people in the Profound Heaven Plaza were looking at Yen Yen. The scene that everyone was looking forward to the most was undoubtedly Yen Yen being defeated by Wei Pohu. Then, they would see how the Heavenly Star Sacred Sect would deal with this. After all, in the Black-Yellow Convention 100 years ago, the Heavenly Star Sacred Sect was an overlord-level existence. Among the top 10 martial artists of the Black-Yellow Convention, there were 3 from the Heavenly Star Sacred Sect. But who would have thought that after 100 years, the Heavenly Star Sacred Sect would become like this? Now that the ranking tournament had just begun, there was only 1 martial artist left from the Heavenly Star Sacred Sect. If this martial artist also lost, then there would be a good show to watch. However, as the battle between Yen Yen and Wei Pohu continued, everyone revealed looks of disappointment. Although this disciple of the 7 Kills sect was pretty good, it was still impossible for him to defeat Yen Yen. Since the start of the battle, everyone had seen Yen Yen suppressing Wei Pohu. "We won." At this moment, Tang Ao, who was in the stands, smiled faintly. Because at this moment, Tang Ao saw that due to Yan Yan's high-intensity attacks, there was a gap in the spiritual power in his body. Although it was only for an instant, it was extremely obvious because even the fate souls that Yan Yan had summoned flickered at this moment. Everyone below the stage could see the problem. On the stage, Wei Pohu had been waiting for this moment. Under Yan Yan's shocked gaze, a frost iron rod fate soul instantly appeared behind Wei Pohu. Shortly after, Wei Pohu grasped the rod with both hands and swept it horizontally. The fate souls that surrounded him were instantly shattered by Wei Pohu. Chapter 2078. Although it was only an attack from an origin martial realm cultivator, Tang Ao couldn't help but clap his hands in praise. Nice. Yan Yan might have been able to block such an attack if he was at his peak. But at this moment, Yan Yan was far from his peak state. With a bang. With a muffled thud, Yan Yan was sent flying off the arena by Wei Pohu's staff. As Yan Yan spat out a mouthful of blood, the star fate spirits he had summoned retreated back into his body. Thanks for letting me win, Wei Pohu said indifferently as he looked at Yan Yan's fluctuating aura. There was no need to say anything else. He had already used his strength to make Yan Yan pay the price. Be careful. Just as Wei Pohu was about to leave the dueling ring, Tang Ao suddenly shouted. Because at that moment, Tang Ao felt a berserk aura in Yan Yan's hand, as if it was about to explode. And Yan Yan's target was none other than Wei Pohu, who had defeated him. After Tang Ao's warning, Wei Pohu instantly summoned his frost iron rod. At the same time, a disdainful and invincible aura suddenly blossomed from the rod. This was the first strike Wei Pohu had deduced using the 7 slaughter divine path, strength multiplying 10,000 Jin. At this moment, the heavenly fireball in Yan Yan's hand flew towards Wei Pohu, but it was swept back by Wei Pohu's rod. The terrifying power of ice seeped out of the frost iron rod and froze the heavenly fireball for an instant. In an instant, the ice shattered, and the heavenly fireball exploded in front of Yan Yan. With a loud rumble, the place where Yan Yan was just standing was instantly filled with dust and smoke. A ball of flame also burned there for a long time. Li Tianwen waved his sleeve and scattered the flames of the heavenly fireball. At the same time, the smoke also dissipated. But at this moment there was no sign of Yan Yan. He had long been burned to ashes by the heavenly fireball. Little bastard, you're courting death. Yan Fengxing was furious after the last disciple of the heavenly star sacred sect fell. After a roar, Yan Fengxing directly slammed his palm towards Wei Pohu. In the face of Yan Fengxing's palm, Wei Pohu felt as if he had been completely restrained. He couldn't even move. Impudent! The spiritual energy on Tang Ao's body instantly erupted. His figure flashed as he arrived before Wei Pohu. Shortly after, a golden light condensed on Tang Ao's body as the Battle Saint Bone Life Soul instantly protected his body. Facing Yan Fengxing's palm strike, Tang Ao also blasted out a palm strike. Suddenly, the entire space trembled violently. A ring-shaped shockwave spread out from the two of them. Before the cultivators in the surrounding arenas could even understand what was going on, they were all sent flying and spat out mouthfuls of blood. After Tang Ao took Yan Fengxing's palm strike head-on, the Thunder family's Lei Guchu and the Thunder Python immediately attacked. Lei Guchu could naturally tell that Tang Ao had not reached the astral reaching realm yet. Without the cultivation of astral reaching realm, he was able to take on Yan Fengxing's palm strike first. How frightening was this? Once this Tang Ao was allowed to grow, who among the 7 forces could be his opponent? After Lei Guchu and the Thunder Python attacked, Dragon Transformation Pavilions Ing Longzi and Xiahou families Xiahou Jie simultaneously stood up and rushed towards Tang Ao without any superfluous words. Although the Black-Yellow Conference was important today, it was even more important to keep the leader of the 7 Kill sect, Tang Ao. No one had made a move earlier, as no one was willing to make the first move. However, since everyone had already made their moves, there was no need for any more superfluous words. However, Ing Longzi and Xiahou Jie, as well as Ouyang Changhe and Xiao Guangxing, were all blocked by a blood-robed figure. Everyone had naturally seen this blood-robed figure. This person had come together with Tang Ao. However, up until now, no one had seen him say a single word. It was just that Ing Longzi and the others didn't expect that at this moment, when they were about to attack Tang Ao, this person would suddenly appear. Seeing the blood demon ancestor blocking the way, the long spear in Xiao Guangxing's hand ruthlessly pierced out. Since this person was also from the 7 Kill sect, then no matter who he was still an enemy. Chapter 2079. Second Level Astral Reaching Realm. Li Tianwen, who hadn't made a move yet, cried out in surprise. Among everyone present, only Li Tianwen was at the peak of First Level Astral Reaching Realm. However, Li Tianwen didn't expect that this blood-robed old man who had come with Tang Ao was actually a second-level astral reaching realm expert. At this moment, Li Tianwen also understood why Tang Ao not only dared to come to the Black-Yellow Convention, but also had such confidence. If it weren't for experts at the level of great elders from the 7 major forces, it would have been difficult for the 7 major forces to even leave the mysterious Heaven City. The battle was on the verge of breaking out. The experts of the 7 major forces immediately attacked, either surrounding Tang Ao or the blood demon ancestor who had come with Tang Ao. "Brother Xiao, you guys hold up this old demon first. Wait until we kill Tang Ao, then we'll deal with him." After sensing the blood demon ancestor's second-level astral reaching realm strength, Yan Fengxing hurriedly said. Today, the great elders and sect leaders of the 7 major forces had all arrived. If they still couldn't kill Tang Ao today, then they could forget about it in the future. If not for the blood demon ancestor, with their strength, killing Tang Ao would be as easy as flipping a hand. However, after seeing the blood demon ancestor's second-level astral reaching realm strength, Yan Fengxing was worried that these old fellows would cherish their wings and run away midway. In that case, not to mention killing Tang Ao, it would be difficult for them to even leave. In an instant, the 8 experts of the 7 major forces surrounded Tang Ao and the blood demon ancestor. Among these 8, apart from Lei family's Thunder Python, who was at the peak of 9th level life and death realm, the rest were all first-level astral reaching realm experts. Facing the attacks of these 8, even Tang Ao and the blood demon ancestor felt waves of pressure. Tang Ao's green lotus sword soul weaved a dense sword net around Tang Ao, blocking the attacks of the 4 people around him. The demon beheading axe in his hand also constantly slashed out with axe blade. Grand Elder Yan Fengxing of the Heavenly Star Sacred Sect, Grand Elder Lei Guchu of the Primordial Thunder family, Patriarch Lei Mang of the Lei family, and Patriarch Xiahou Jie of the Xiahou family were all attacking Tang Ao without holding anything back. Facing 3 first astral reaching realm warriors and 1 9th life and death realm warrior at the same time, Tang Ao had fallen into a disadvantageous position all of a sudden. As for the blood demon ancestor, although he was able to suppress Ing Longzi and the other 3 first-level astral reaching experts, he was also being held back by the 4. He was simply unable to assist Tang Ao. Buzz! Right at this moment, a 3 kilometers long strand of sword energy instantly swept through the sky, and it instantly dispersed half of the attack that was aimed at Tang Ao. Then, a figure in purple robes appeared beside Tang Ao. Seeing this elder in purple robes, Tang Ao immediately bowed and said, "Thank you, Uncle Zichen, for saving me." The one who had intervened was indeed the leader of the Green Lotus Valley, Zichen. Through the 7 Kill sect's Tantra, Tang Ao had learned that the founder of the Green Lotus Valley was the head disciple of the founder of the 7 Kill sect. The two sects shared the same origin. It was also because of this that when the seven forces besieged the seven kill sect last time, Zichen had sent his disciples to help the seven kill sect. Yun Zichen, you really want to intervene? Yan Fengxing was furious after being attacked by Yun Zichen just now. Today, the seven kill sect and the seven forces have already reached a point where only one side can survive. Since that is the case, why are you asking so much? Yun Zichen carried his sword with one hand, standing proudly in the sky. The Green Lotus Valley had always been low-key, and Yun Zichen rarely intervened. It could be said that unless it was a matter of life and death for the Green Lotus Valley, he would not easily intervene. Chapter 2080. After Yun Zichen came over, Tang Ao immediately took out a few elixirs and swallowed them. In the battle just now, although Tang Ao wasn't injured, the spiritual power in his body was churning endlessly. His meridians also felt a trace of pain because of the spiritual power circulating too fast. Tang Ao knew that if he had already reached the astral reaching realm, then Yan Fengxing, the three old men, and the Thunder Python together would not be his opponent. Unfortunately, Tang Ao had not even reached the peak of the 9th level of the life and death realm. There was still some distance before he could reach the astral reaching realm. If he hadn't coincidentally subdued the blood demon ancestor, it would have been very difficult for Tang Ao to get out of the black-yellow convention. Seeing that Yan Fengxing and the others didn't make a move, Yun Zichen said to an old man sitting at the table, "Brother Luo. The Luo family and the Seven Kills sect have a long history. Out of the 21 sect masters of the Seven Kills sect, 7 of them were from the Luo family. Now that the Seven Kills sect is in trouble, how can you just sit back and do nothing?" The brother Luo that Yun Zichen mentioned was the Grand Elder of the Luo clan of the Ancients, Luo Yishui. Luo Yishui was from the same generation as Li Tianwen. Just like Li Tianwen, there had been no news of him in the black-yellow continent for thousands of years. Luo Yishui frowned when he heard Yun Zichen's words. Luo Yishui was a decisive person, but this time, he hesitated. Even if the Seven Kills sect had the blood demon ancestor, Tang Ao and Yun Zichen, they would not be a match for the Grand Elders of the 7 major forces. Moreover, there were also experts among the remaining forces. If he were to make a single misstep, the Luo family of the Desolate Lands would immediately be doomed. Seeing that Luo Yishui did not speak for a long time, Tang Ao's eyes flashed with disappointment. This Luo Yishui could be considered Tang Ao's elder. Tang Ao and La Kale were partners, while Luo Yishui was the Luo family's patriarch. But now that Seven Kills sect was facing a crisis, Luo Yishui had chosen to remain silent. Patriarch Luo, don't be bewitched by him. Today, the Seven Kills sect must vanish from the black-yellow continent. Yan Fengxing roared, and a star appeared behind him. Without any hesitation, Yan Fengxing charged towards Yun Zichen. Yun Zichen looked at Yan Fengxing. Lei Guchu and the other two understood what Yan Fengxing meant. Yan Fengxing would hold Yun Zichen back, while the 3 of them attacked quickly to kill Tang Ao. Lei Guchu and Xiahou Jie exchanged a glance, and the 2 of them immediately attacked. Although the Thunder Serpent did not have the cultivation of astral reaching realm, his movements were not slow either. After the thunder exploded on his body, he attacked toward Tang Ao with the thunder staff in his hand. This time, however, before the Thunder Python could approach Tang Ao, a white figure appeared before the Thunder Python. It was none other than Yun Zichen's eldest disciple, Bai Yunxin. Last time, when the 7 great forces besieged the Seven Kills sect, it was also Bai Yunxin who helped the Seven Kills sect. This time, seeing that Tang Ao was in danger, Bai Yunxin took action again. After Bai Yunxin made her move, Jing Wushang immediately wanted to help. However, before Jing Wushang could do anything, Tang Ao immediately sent a message to Jing Wushang, asking him to lead Tai Jing and the other 4 back to the 7 Kills sect. Chapter 2081. After Jing Wushang left with Chu Xian and the others, Tang Ao went all out. As he brandished his monster-slaying axe, sharp axe blades flew out and tore apart the entire Xiantian plaza. The martialists of the various sects all retreated when faced with a battle of this level, not daring to face it head-on. However, apart from the martialists of the smaller sects who fled, the martialists of the major factions watched quietly from afar. Whether the 7 Kills sect was destroyed or the 7 major factions suffered heavy losses in today's battle, the balance of the Xianwang continent would be broken. For the factions that were second only to the 8 great sects and the 6 great families of the primordial era, this was great news. Their sects had developed to this day and used all sorts of methods, but the cultivation resources they could obtain were still pitifully small. As long as a few of the 8 great sects and 6 great families were destroyed, a large amount of resources would immediately become available. The best possible outcome was for the 7 Kills sect and the 7 major factions to suffer heavy losses and retire from the stage of history together. In midair, Tang Ao was facing much less pressure now that he only had to deal with Lei Guchu and Xiahou Jie. Currently, all sorts of violent spiritual powers were wreaking havoc in the sky above Xiantian City. Powerful life souls exuded terrifying might as they fought. Xiantian City, which had been peaceful for 1,000 years, was no longer peaceful. At this moment, Lei Guchu was like the thunder god of the 9 heavens. A sea of lightning appeared around his body. A lightning dragon with a terrifying aura swam in this sea, emitting an oppressive aura that made it hard for the surrounding people to breathe. On Xiahou Jie's side, a pool of boiling lava had appeared. Xiahou Jie was currently floating above the lava, glaring at Tang Ao with an unfriendly gaze. He had to take down Tang Ao today. Both Lei Guchu and Xiahou Jie knew that Tang Ao was a martialist of the same generation as Xiahou Guangtian. However, among the martialists of the same generation, the strongest Lei Python was clearly no match for Tang Ao. Xiahou Guangtian of the Xiahou family had even been killed by Tang Ao. Take this. Seeing that Xiahou Jie had no intention of making a move, Lei Guchu let out a cold shout and swept up the sky full of lightning bolts towards Tang Ao. Streaks of lightning swam in the air, illuminating the entire sky. Just as the sea of lightning was about to reach Tang Ao, the hidden Lei Long suddenly leaped out of the sea of lightning. It opened its huge mouth, and a ball of lightning flew towards Tang Ao. Tang Ao circulated his spiritual energy and chopped down with the demon beheading axe. Under Tang Ao's axe, the Lei Chiu was instantly shattered. But at the same time, an electric current passed through Tang Ao's body. After being struck by Lei Guchu's electric current, Tang Ao felt his entire body heat up, as if his body was about to be scorched. Tang Ao inwardly praised the old Lei's skill with lightning. At the same time that Lei Guchu attacked Tang Ao, fireballs flew out of Xiahou Jie's lava pool and hurtled towards Tang Ao like meteors. The demon beheading axe in Tang Ao's hand chopped out a few axe edges in the air. Under the demon beheading axe's axe edges, the fireballs exploded and turned into magma that filled the sky. Chapter 2082. With a thought, Tang Ao immediately fled into the distance. With only Lei Guchu and Xiahou Jie, if Tang Ao truly wanted to leave, the two would not be able to stop him. However, Tang Ao had no intention of escaping alone. The reason why Tang Ao wanted to escape was because he wanted to take down Lei Guchu and Xiahou Jie one by one. However, after witnessing Tang Ao's power, the two immediately understood Tang Ao's intention. Therefore, not only did the two not widen the gap between them, they even maintained their pace and chased after Tang Ao. Seeing the two's appearance, Tang Ao instantly summoned Underworld Emperor's Wind Thunder Dark Cloud. Tang Ao didn't believe that if he wanted to escape, these two old fellows wouldn't chase him with all their might. "Brother Lei, this kid wants to run," Xiahou Jie hastily said after seeing Tang Ao summon his Wind Thunder Dark Cloud and disappear in a flash. "Humph! Insignificant tricks! You dare to use thunder power in front of me?" As Lei Guchu spoke, countless thunderbolts condensed on his body as well, ultimately forming a thunder cloud under Lei Guchu and Xiahou Jie's body, which chased after Tang Ao. While Lei Guchu and Xiahou Jie were chasing Tang Ao to their heart's content, Yinglongzi and the other three were inwardly complaining about the blood demon ancestors' attacks. At this moment, the four were completely engulfed by the blood demon ancestors' blood sea, struggling bitterly. Yinglongzi and the other three had only broken through to the first layer of astral reaching realm not too long ago, while the blood demon ancestor was a yin-yang realm expert at his peak. Under the circumstances of a realm gap, even if the four joined hands, they wouldn't have the slightest bit of an advantage. At this moment, the four could only pray inwardly that Lei Guchu and Xiahou Jie would quickly return to help after killing Tang Ao. Moreover, as far as the four were concerned, Lei Guchu and Xiahou Jie, two first-layer astral-reaching experts, would have no problem dealing with a peak 9th-layer life and death realm martial artist. However, Yinglongzi was still worried that the two old fellows, Lei Guchu, had ulterior motives and deliberately wanted the blood demon ancestor to exhaust them. In fact, that was exactly what Lei Guchu and Xiahou Jie were thinking. Once the 7 Kills sect was annihilated, the balance in the Xianhuang continent would be broken. At that time, there would inevitably be a great battle between these top forces. Since that was the case, what was wrong with exhausting his opponent in advance? Lei Guchu had this thought, but he didn't say it. Although he was riding a ball of thundercloud, he couldn't catch up to Tang Ao. Xiahou Jie also had the same thoughts, and Xiahou Jie knew that of his two sons. Although Xiahou Quangtian was disappointing, his eldest son, Xiahou Linyuan, would definitely have extraordinary accomplishments. Xiahou Linyuan was still cultivating in seclusion in House Xiahou's ancestral grounds. He knew that Xiahou Linyuan had obtained some opportunities through some despicable means. As long as Xiahou Linyuan came out of seclusion, House Xiahou would definitely have the right to speak in the Black-Yellow continent. Therefore, at this moment, Xiahou Jie wanted to stall for time even more than Lei Guchu. As for Yinglongzi and the other three old fellows, as long as even one of them died, it would be a great thing for him. However, Xiahou Jie also knew that although the blood demon ancestor was powerful, with Yinglongzi and the other three joining hands, it would be extremely difficult for him to kill even one of them. However, even if he couldn't kill them, causing some injuries would be extremely good. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.